Chapter 1270. As the saying goes, the onlooker sees the game more clearly than the person involved. Tang Ao saw everything clearly from the side. Su Hongyi had two powerful attacks. One was a flower fate soul that could bewitch a person's mind, and the other was a rainbow ribbon fate soul that had a hallucinatory effect. The combination of these two life souls might be fatal to ordinary warriors. However, to Tang Ming, it was not of much use. After Tang Ming executed the evil blood technique, he had completely lost his consciousness and was completely relying on his instincts to fight. This way, after Tang Ming realized that Su Hongyi's two life souls attacks didn't cause him any pain, he continued fighting Su Hongyi's life soul attack. This kind of battle made Su Hongyi want to vomit blood. Tang Ao also didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, Su Hongyi was still at the 9th tier of the body refining realm. Even if her life soul was targeted, she still had the upper hand. If this continued, as long as the effects of Tang Ming's evil blood technique wore off, Tang Ming would definitely die. At the same time, Tang Ao was also rejoicing. If Tang Ao had not chosen to flee and instead fought to the death with Tang Ming, his essence would have long been depleted. Furthermore, Tang Ming's secret technique would not have been dispelled. On the path of a martial artist, talent and hard work were indispensable, but sometimes luck was the same. At this moment, Tang Ao narrowed his eyes. This was because Tang Ao could sense that Wu Han, who was far away, could no longer sit still. While Su Hongyi and Tang Ming were still locked in an intense battle, Wu Han had already quietly approached the area where the two of them were fighting. As he approached the two of them, Wu Han's aura slowly changed. Sensing the change in Wu Han's aura, Tang Ao was very surprised. Through Tang Ao's senses, Wu Han's aura had become somewhat similar to Tang Ming's. However, Wu Han was different from Tang Ming. The reason why Tang Ming lost control of his evil blood technique was because he was too emotional and injured. However, at this moment, Wu Han was clearly not injured. Moreover, Wu Han's eyes were very calm, showing no signs of losing his rationality. As Wu Han got closer and closer, wisps of blood qi fluctuations started to radiate from his body. After these blood qi fluctuations were released, Wu Han's aura was already very close to Tang Ming's aura. However, compared to Tang Ming, Wu Han's aura was much stronger. Tang Ao saw a flash of light on Wu Han's storage ring. Then, Wu Han took out a silver mask from the storage ring. This mask was a very powerful treasure. After Wu Han put on the mask, even Tang Ao couldn't see Wu Han's face through the mask. If not for the fact that Tang Ao had witnessed the entire process of Wu Han executing the evil blood technique, Tang Ao would not have been able to tell that the masked man was Wu Han. After putting on the silver mask, Wu Han no longer suppressed his aura. Boom! In an instant, a blood-colored storm swept through the area, and the surrounding space seemed to be dyed red by a layer of scarlet blood mist. Seeing Wu Han's strong aura, Tang Ao was also secretly shocked. Needless to say, Tang Ao knew that Wu Han was also a martial artist who cultivated the evil blood technique. However, when comparing Wu Han and Tang Ming, Wu Han's evil blood technique was clearly superior. After Tang Ming executed the evil blood technique, his cultivation had only reached the peak of the 7th level of the body refining realm. Moreover, he had also lost his consciousness. However, after Wu Han executed the evil blood technique, his cultivation had directly reached the peak of the 8th level of the body refining realm. Chapter 1271. That's right, the Yuan Qi in Wu Han's body was like boiling water as it flowed through Wu Han's meridians. This Yuan Qi circulation speed shocked even Tang Ao. Tang Ao possessed the 9-Dragon Emperor Jade body, so his Yuan Qi circulation speed wasn't something normal martial artists could compare to. However, after Wu Han used the evil blood technique, the circulation speed of Wu Han's Yuan Qi was even stronger than Tang Ao's. Of course, this was largely because Tang Ao's Spirit C and Soul C were both shattered. However, Wu Han being able to do this after using the evil blood technique was already very impressive. Wu Han's sudden burst of aura naturally attracted Tang Ming and Su Hongyi's attention. Su Hongyi's soul remembrance swept over and discovered another martial artist who cultivated the evil blood technique. This person was wearing a silver mask. Since her soul remembrance couldn't see through it, Su Hongyi didn't know who this person was. However, Su Hongyi knew that this person was definitely much stronger than the Tang Ming in front of her. Right now, she knew how to fight with Tang Ming. Although she had the upper hand, she couldn't defeat Tang Ming. Now, another martial artist who cultivated the evil blood technique had arrived. Moreover, this martial artist was even stronger than Tang Ming. She definitely wasn't their match. Just as Su Hongyi was considering whether or not to escape, another incomparably imposing aura flew over from the distance. After sensing this aura, Su Hongyi's face lit up with joy, and her expression became much more relaxed. Although the person who had arrived was a person she hated, for this person to arrive at this time, Su Hongyi felt that he wasn't that annoying anymore. Tang Ao's soul remembrance was much stronger than the people present. Therefore, Tang Ao was naturally able to immediately sense that an expert had arrived. Moreover, this person was someone that Tang Ao recognized. It was Shadowless, who had previously taken a liking to Tang Ao's essence blood. Tang Ao was still secretly guessing why these people were collecting essence blood from martial artists and whether his fake essence blood had been discovered. However, Tang Ao believed that nobody in the Flying Star continent would be able to see through his trick, considering the understanding of essence blood of the warriors of the Flying Star continent. Shadowless was also at the peak of the body refinement realm. From his dense aura, Tang Ao could tell that Shadowless was stronger than Su Hongyi. Wu Han, who was extremely arrogant, frowned when he saw Shadowless. However, as he frowned, the pendant on his neck said, "Fight Shadowless. Let's see how strong old Candle Nine's godson is." Chi. Shadowless had killed a Tier 2 blood demon before. Are you sending me to my death? Unlike Tang Ming, Wu Han's mind remained clear after using the evil blood technique. His senses also became extremely sharp. While talking to the pendant, Wu Han even glanced in the direction of Tang Ao with a puzzled look. However, after using his soul remembrance to scan the area and finding nothing, Wu Han finally relaxed. So you don't dare to fight Shadowless? The pendant's voice was slightly dissatisfied. Let alone Shadowless, even if his old man Candle 9 came, I would still dare to fight. However, I have a condition. Wu Han didn't immediately attack. Instead, he spoke very casually. Although Wu Han was only a Tier 2 blood demon, he didn't feel as much pressure as he imagined facing Shadowless. Chapter 1272. Your luck isn't bad. You actually encountered a rank 2 blood devil. Shadowless's body flashed and appeared 9 meters away from Wu Han. Even with Tang Ao's powerful soul remembrance, he could only barely catch a glimpse of Shadowless's shadow in the air. It seemed like Shadowless's name wasn't without reason. However, although Shadowless's move was beautiful, it was useless in front of Wu Han. I wonder what expression Elder Zhujiu will have if I kill Zhujiu's favorite godson here. After using evil blood technique, Wu Han's cultivation was only at the peak of body refining realm 8th level. However, facing Shadowless, who was at the peak of body refining realm 9th level, Wu Han didn't know how to be afraid. Through Wu Han's silver mask, Tang Ao could even see the intense battle intent in Wu Han's eyes. Tang Ao was slightly confused. No matter how he looked at it, Wu Han didn't look like someone who liked to fight. However, facing Shadowless, for some reason, Wu Han's body was bursting with a monstrous battle intent. Could it be that after using evil blood technique, a martial artist's personality would change? If that was the case, then this evil blood technique was too terrifying. You seem to be very confident. Although Wu Han spoke rudely, Shadowless wasn't angry. Such a cold person shouldn't have such a good temper. However, Shadowless's temper was surprisingly good. Facing a dead person, Shadowless's emotions normally wouldn't change much. At this moment, in Shadowless's eyes, Wu Han was already a dead person. No matter who the person under the mask was, he was already a dead person. Shadowless's life was saved by Zhujiu, so Shadowless wouldn't allow anyone to slander Zhujiu. Moreover, the person slandering Zhujiu was a rank 2 blood devil. Just like the blood devil that slaughtered his entire family, it was only a rank 2 blood devil. The only difference was that back then, he could only watch as the blood devil slaughtered his family. However, it was different now. He had already killed more than 10 rank 2 blood devils. As for rank 1 blood devils, he had killed so many that he couldn't even remember how many he had killed. Confidence requires strength. My strength allows me to be confident. After Wu Han said that, he took the initiative to attack. Wu Han clenched his hands and 2 blood-colored short spears instantly appeared in his hands. In the previous battle between Wu Han and Tang Ao, although Wu Han was using 2 short swords, Tang Ao could still see that Wu Han's usage of the 2 short swords was somewhat awkward. Only when Wu Han took out the 2 blood-colored short spears did Tang Ao realize that the short swords were not Wu Han's real weapons. Wu Han's real weapons were the 2 short spears covered in blood mist. The design of these 2 short spears was very exquisite, and there was a hint of death in it. Wu Han shook his hands and the 2 spears attacked Shadowless like 2 cunning venomous snakes. Facing Wu Han's attack, Shadowless also took out his martial artist. Although Shadowless was very fast, Tang Ao could clearly see that Shadowless' weapon was a magistrate pen. The brush was 3 feet long and had a sharp tip. For a cold person like Shadowless, it was hard to imagine that his weapon was a judge pen. Tang Ao didn't know whether Wu Han could think of it or not, but Tang Ao himself couldn't think of it no matter what. Chapter 1273. Tang Ao was a little speechless. Tang Ao really couldn't understand the deep hatred between Wu Han and Shadowless. The 2 of them fought with all their might the moment they made their move. Su Hongyi and Tang Ming hadn't suffered any obvious injuries after fighting for so long. However, the moment Wu Han and Shadowless clashed, the short spear in Wu Han's left hand pierced through Shadowless' right shoulder, while Shadowless's magistrate brush swept through Wu Han's left rib. If the 2 of them wanted to, they could clearly avoid such an attack. However, neither Wu Han nor Shadowless had any intention of dodging. After injuring each other with one move, they clashed intensely again. Both of their attacks were extremely ruthless, and they didn't care about the consequences. There would be blood splattering from time to time in their battle, but it didn't affect their intense battle at all. Tang Ao's blood was boiling as he watched this battle, but he was also a little speechless at the same time. Based on the current situation, Shadowless and Wu Han were evenly matched. Neither of them could suppress the other. If this continued, both of them might very well perish together. Both of them were high-level body refinement realm warriors, so Tang Ao didn't believe that they would have thought of such a simple ending. In fact, both of them had thought of such an outcome, but they were still clashing head-on, unwilling to admit defeat. Brilliance flickered in mid-air, and a blood-colored brilliance dyed the entire region red. However, there was a distinct black and white region in this blood-colored brilliance. Shadowless held the magistrate brush tightly in his hand and attacked Wu Han continuously. Wu Han's dual spear attacks were also extremely fast. Although there would be a bloody mist erupting from his body from time to time, Shadowless would also spurt out a bloody mist every time. The 2 of them were evenly matched, and the battle was in full swing. Their battle intent was boiling. On the other side, Tang Ming and Su Hongyi were still fighting in a lukewarm manner. Due to the difference in cultivation, Tang Ming couldn't hurt Su Hongyi. His 2 strongest life souls were restrained by Tang Ming, so Su Hongyi couldn't hurt Tang Ming for a while. Just as Tang Ao thought that the battle was going to continue like this, Tang Ming's aura began to stir restlessly. Tang Ao's eyes narrowed, and he wondered if Tang Ming's evil blood technique's duration was about to end. Su Hongyi, who was fighting Tang Ming, was delighted when she saw this. Although the evil blood technique was powerful, it had a time limit. Previously, Tang Ming had engaged in a bitter battle with Tang Ao and had even chased Tang Ao for a long time. At this point, Tang Mingxia's evil blood arts transformation had finally reached its limit. Even so, Tang Ao was still amazed by the power of the evil blood technique. If Tang Ming didn't suffer a severe backlash after coming into contact with the evil blood technique, then this technique was truly heaven-defying. However, the evil blood technique did not appear to be easy to cultivate. Furthermore, be it Tang Ming or Wu Han, after using the evil blood technique, the aura within their bodies became somewhat sinister, making others feel very uncomfortable. The aura, and the aura and their blood seemed to be, and the Ming. Chapter 1274. Although soul remembrance couldn't detect him, the naked eye could. If Tang Ming lured Su Hongyi over, Su Hongyi would definitely discover him. Tang Ao really didn't want to cause trouble. Thus, the instant he saw Tang Ming coming over, Tang Ao immediately leaped up and was about to escape. However, before Tang Ao could leave, Tang Ao was surprised to see Tang Ming, who was originally running away, suddenly turn around. Then, Tang Ming opened his mouth and a scarlet arrow of blood shot towards Su Hongyi, who was chasing him relentlessly. Su Hongyi and Tang Ming had fought intensely for a long time. Su Hongyi knew of Tang Ming's methods. However, in the previous fights, Su Hongyi had never seen Tang Ming use this technique. Adding on the fact that Tang Ming wasn't in a good state and wanted to escape, Su Hongyi wasn't prepared. Puchi. The scarlet blood arrow created a rain of blood on Su Hongyi's body. Su Hongyi cried out in alarm. She immediately felt a wave of dizziness, and her body uncontrollably fell to the ground. Shadowless, who was fighting Wu Han, naturally heard Su Hongyi's cry. Shadowless scanned with his soul remembrance, and saw Su Hongyi fall from the sky. How could Shadowless care about Wu Han now? The judge's brush in his hand swept out and forced Wu Han back. Shadowless's figure flashed and appeared next to Su Hongyi. The instant Shadowless appeared, Tang Ming's attack also arrived. However, Tang Ming clearly didn't expect Shadowless to arrive so quickly to support him. He couldn't take back his attack. Seeing Tang Ming's sharp claws, Shadowless coldly harumphed and threw the judge's brush in his hand. It immediately swept towards Tang Ming's palm. The soft tip of the brush suddenly became incomparably sharp and indestructible. Puchi! A cold light flashed and Tang Ming's palm was pierced by Shadowless's judge's brush. Scalding blood sprayed out, splashing onto Shadowless and Su Hongyi. At this moment, Tang Ming let out a cry and slapped away Shadowless's judge's brush. He then fled without hesitation. After Tang Ming escaped, Wu Han looked at Tang Ming and Shadowless hesitantly. Then, he said to Shadowless coldly, "I'll keep you alive for now. You won't be so lucky next time." Then, Wu Han immediately chased after Tang Ming. Facing Wu Han's threat, Shadowless didn't care. He snorted and immediately flew away with Su Hongyi in his arms. The blood arrow that Tang Ming had spat out had pierced through Su Hongyi's chest. Just an inch more, and that blood arrow would have shattered Su Hongyi's heart. Even so, Su Hongyi's injuries weren't something to be happy about. Therefore, even though they were so close, they did not notice Tang Ao's presence. At this distance, no matter how strong Tang Ao's soul remembrance was, as long as they released their soul remembrance to investigate, they would be able to find some clues. It was just that these people had been too confident from the beginning to the end, thinking that there was no one else here other than the four of them. However, Tang Ao knew that what had happened here today was known by at least 6 people. Other than Shadowless's group and Tang Ao, the martial artist who had released his soul remembrance through the pendant on Wu Han's neck also knew. Chapter 1275. Because in Tang Ao's perception, although these people weren't slow, they hadn't gone far yet. After waiting for a while until they disappeared from Tang Ao's soul remembrance perception, Tang Ao slowly jumped off the thick tree trunk. However, Tang Ao didn't leave the forest. Instead, he sat down quietly and started to recover his energy. For some reason, Tang Ao felt that the energy in this forest was slightly denser than in other places. After Tang Ao sat down, he immediately started a circulatory cycle according to his cultivation method. The drifting energy in the forest seemed to be endlessly attracted, immediately gathering towards Tang Ao's location from all directions. Traces of invisible energy constantly gathered around Tang Ao, finally forming a huge whirlpool. Tang Ao was at the center of this whirlpool, greedily devouring the energy that constantly gathered. At this moment, Tang Ao was like a dry sponge, greedily absorbing the surrounding energy. As Tang Ao continuously cultivated, a huge whirlpool appeared above the forest. The surrounding energy was attracted by this whirlpool, endlessly surging towards Tang Ao. However, Tang Ao's constitution was too special. Every time he leveled up, the amount of energy required was 10 times or even tens of times greater. Therefore, after absorbing and refining so much energy, Tang Ao's cultivation only rose from the initial stage of the 5th level of the body refining realm to the peak of the 5th level of the body refining realm. If a normal martial artist refined so much energy, no matter how weak their spirit root was, they would still be able to reach the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm. However, Tang Ao couldn't even break through to the 6th level of the body refining realm. Of course, this wasn't because Tang Ao's martial talent wasn't good, but because Tang Ao's 9-Dragon Emperor Jade body was too domineering. Martial artists with the 9-Dragon Emperor Jade body were often invincible amongst martial artists of the same level. However, the price of being invincible was not easy. During the cultivation process, the 9 Dragons Emperor Jade body martialists expended a terrifying amount of energy, effort, and cultivation resources. Although he had yet to break through to the 6th level of the body refining realm, Tang Ao knew that if he were to meet someone like Luoping now, he would be able to beat Luoping up within 3 moves. Back then, among the cultivators who had tried to snatch his essence cultivating pill, this Luoping had been the first to make a move. He had even caused him to lose an essence cultivating pill. However, Tang Ao was also a little puzzled. It seemed that after that time, he had never seen Luoping again. This made Tang Ao a little depressed. It wasn't easy for him to cultivate, but he couldn't get revenge even if he wanted to. After meditating for a while, Tang Ao summoned the Battle Sage Bone Life Soul with a thought. With the augmentation of the Battle Sage Bone Life Soul, Tang Ao's flying speed was much faster. Although Tang Ao could also summon the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud to increase his speed to the extreme, the burden of the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud was too great for the current Tang Ao. If Tang Ao used the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud to rush back to Qingyun Village, then after Tang Ao returned to Qingyun Village, his Yuan Qi would definitely be completely depleted. Therefore, after some thought, Tang Ao decided to only use the Battle Sage Bone Life Soul to augment his speed. After Tang Ao released the Battle Sage Bone Life Soul, Tang Ao immediately released his Yuan Qi and rushed in the direction of Qingyun Village. After such a long time, Tang Ao didn't know what was going on in Qingyun Village. He didn't know if the beast horde had been defended or if the Qingyun Alliance had experts coming to reinforce them. With these questions in mind, Tang Ao secretly sped up. Chapter 1276. The dragon-subduing cave was vast and boundless. Even with Tang Ao's flying speed, it took him an incense's worth of time before he returned to Qingyun Village. After returning to Qingyun Village, Tang Ao discovered that things weren't progressing as well as he had imagined. At that moment, within Qingyun Village, the beast tide didn't disperse. Instead, it was getting more and more severe. What was more reassuring was that experts from the Qing Yun Alliance had arrived one after another. Tang Ao scanned with his spirit remembrance and saw a familiar person. That person wore a blue gown. It was Chu Feng, who Tang Ao had met once before. Although the two of them had only met once, Tang Ao's impression of Chu Feng was quite good. When Tang Ao saw Chu Feng's words and actions were all calm and at ease. However, at that moment, Chu Feng wasn't as carefree as before because 9 calf-sized tarantulas were gathered around him. Not only were the tarantulas enormous in size, but the aura they emitted was also extremely terrifying. The most troublesome thing was that the 9 tarantulas had woven a dense and huge web around them. The huge web was very powerful. At that moment, it trapped many people. There were cultivators from the Qing Yun Alliance, as well as ordinary people from Qing Yun Village. The cultivators from the Qing Yun Alliance were in a better state. Although their bodies twitched from time to time, they were still alive. As for the ordinary people trapped by the spider web, they were motionless. There was no aura on their bodies. Clearly, they had died a long time ago. Tang Ao saw that there were many cultivators outside the spider web. Although they wanted to go up and save Chu Feng, they were a bit helpless against the huge spider web. After seeing this group of people, Tang Ao descended from the sky and came to their side. Seeing cultivators coming over, the cultivators from the Qing Yun Alliance were secretly on guard. However, after seeing the Qing Yun Alliance badge hanging on Tang Ao's waist, they relaxed. Although the Qing Yun League had declined, there was still a continuous influx of new blood. In addition, this group of martial artists often mingled in the Evergreen Valley, so it was normal that they did not recognize the newcomer, Tang Ao. "Who are you?" Without waiting for Tang Ao to speak, an arrogant young man in the crowd shouted at Tang Ao. This person was dressed in embroidered clothes and had a jade crown on his head. He had delicate features and looked quite handsome. From the way the female martial artists around him stole glances at him from time to time, he could tell that this person was definitely the dream lover of many female martial artists. Tang Ao also felt that he was quite good-looking, but his feminine and vicious aura was a little heavy. They were all members of the Qing Yun Alliance, but this person spoke as if he was born to be a cut above others. However, Tang Ao didn't mind too much. "I'm Tang Ao. How should I address you, friend?" "How dare you? This is Deputy Alliance Leader Ho's son, Ho Tianxi. He is not someone you can associate with. This time, on account that you don't know, I'll let it go. The next time you see young Master Tianxi, don't be rude." Before Ho Tianxi could speak, a martial artist in gray beside him shouted sternly. After the martial artist in gray finished speaking, Ho Tianxi also looked at Tang Ao coldly. It was obvious that he was very dissatisfied with Tang Ao. At this moment, Tang Ao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The fact that the Qing Yun League had an alliance leader and 2 deputy alliance leaders, Tang Ao knew about this. Cold Moon, who had given Tang Ao the middle-grade essence cultivating pill, was the current alliance leader of the Qing Yun League. Other than her, the 2 deputy alliance leaders were Lin Dongnan and a martial artist called Ho Yaoying. Tang Ao heard that this deputy alliance leader Ho Yaoying led the Qing Yun League's martial artists to be stationed in the Evergreen Valley's encampment all year round. Chapter 1277. Although that view was a bit one-sided, as the saying goes, like father, like son. Ho Tianxi's overbearing attitude and his tendency to think he was a cut above others was definitely related to his father, Ho Yaoying. "Uncle Ding Peng, what do we do now?" Ho Tianxi didn't pay any more attention to Tang Ao. A martial artist dressed in a green robe shouted beside him. Tang Ao noticed the azure-robed martial artist immediately. His expression was very serious. No matter who he looked at, there was no emotion in his gaze. The scariest thing was that his aura was very steady. If a normal martial artist's aura was like a flowing spring, then his aura would be like a pool of stagnant water. Of course, a person like that wouldn't only attract Tang Ao's attention. Although he didn't speak, no matter where he went, others would unnaturally notice him. However, his cold face made people not dare to stop their gazes on him for too long. The 9-headed wolf spider's main body is very strong. It is only at the 5th level of the body refinement realm. However, the net they weave around it is quite powerful. Normal blades and swords cannot cut this net. Once fire is used to burn it, it will explode. After speaking to that point, Ding Peng thought for a moment, then continued, "If Sun Xiaohu was here, we could have him go in and save Chu Feng. Right now, Sun Xiaohu isn't here, so we can only leave." "Uncle Ding Peng, what about brother Chu Feng?" asked a rather young girl after hearing Ding Peng's words. "Our mission is to take care of the Qing Yun Alliance's encampment in the Evergreen Valley. The matters of the Qing Yun village don't have much to do with us. Right now we are only passing by. We have to hurry back. We've done all that we can. Now we just need to return." "Ha ha ha, that doesn't sound like you." Just as Ding Peng finished speaking, a loud laugh came from afar. At the same time as the laughter came, a person flew towards Chu Feng's direction. Tang Ao scanned with his spirit remembrance and knew it was Zhong Shan. However, at that moment, Zhong Shan had lost an arm and his condition wasn't very good. Seeing that Zhong Shan rashly went in to save Chu Feng, Tang Ao hurriedly said, "Brother Zhong Shan, you can't." Unlike Ho Tianxi, Tang Ao naturally wouldn't just stand by and watch. It was just that Tang Ao hadn't thought of any good ideas yet. However, Zhong Shan seemed to have already made up his mind. After hearing Tang Ao's words, he only slightly paused in midair before flying towards Chu Feng's location. Just then, a green figure flashed and instantly appeared beside Zhong Shan. Before Zhong Shan could react, he was blasted back by the green figure's palm. Although he had long known that Ding Peng was powerful, Tang Ao was still quite surprised when he saw Ding Peng in action. The martial artist who sent Zhong Shan flying with a palm was Ding Peng. However, after Ding Peng forced Zhong Shan back, he did not continue to save Chu Feng. Instead, he withdrew himself. The hidden dragon caves were too cruel. No matter what, it was extremely dangerous to consume too much energy and get injured in the hidden dragon cave. Those were the words Ding Peng's elder brother said to Ding Peng before his death. It was also his elder brother who used his own life in exchange for Ding Peng's. "Uncle Ding Peng, you said that after burning, these spider webs will explode? How's the power of the explosion?" Ho Tianxi asked Ding Peng after Ding Peng returned. "It's quite powerful. I'm afraid this place will be flattened." Monstrous beasts like the tarantula were the hardest and easiest to deal with in the Evergreen Valley. No matter how strong a tarantula was, its spider silk would explode. That was the killer move of the tarantula. After the tarantula used spider silk to trap its prey, it would detonate its own spider silk and kill the prey. Chapter 1278. However, other than the 9 tarantulas, Chu Feng was also trapped within the spider web. Moreover, there were many warriors struggling on the tarantula's web. These warriors were constantly wailing at Tang Ao and the others. Apparently, they were begging Tang Ao and the others to help them. This was because the spider web was too tough. Ordinary weapons simply could not cut through it. Tang Ao knew that if he was willing to take out the Netherworld sword, cutting through the spider web would not be a problem. However, Tang Ao had lived 2 lives. He knew very well that an ordinary man's wealth would make him guilty. Tarantulas were monstrous beasts that were relatively densely distributed in the Evergreen Valley. Once Tang Ao took out the Netherworld sword and cut through the spider web, who knew how many people would be envious? After all, with a weapon like the Netherworld sword, he would not have to fear the other monstrous beasts in the Evergreen Valley, but the tarantulas. Additionally, Tang Ao was aware that he was not the only one amongst them with an immortal artifact. Although the others might only possess broken immortal artifacts, as long as they were willing to bring out their immortal artifacts, it would not be an issue for them to cut a hole in this spiderweb. Hai Fuan was only at the 5th level of the body refinement realm, yet he was able to obtain a broken immortal artifact. Tang Ao did not believe that Ho Tianxi and the other cultivators who stayed in the Evergreen Valley did not have immortal artifact. It was just that everyone had their own worries, so they were not willing to take them out. Since we can kill the tarantulas, this will be much simpler. As Tang Ao pondered, Ho Tianxi muttered. Shortly after, he spat out origin energy from his palm and a ball of flame shot out. Seeing the flame in Ho Tianxi's hand, several cultivators who were still conscious but trapped in the spider web immediately shouted, "Young Master Tianxi, please spare us! Young Master Tianxi, please spare us!" These people were all cultivators who had personally seen the explosion of the spider web. The spider web that trapped them was woven by 9 tarantulas, so the power of the explosion could be imagined. Not to mention being trapped in the spider web, even if they had been a bit closer to the spider web when it exploded, they would not have survived. Tang Ao was disgusted by Ho Tianxi's actions. Since he didn't have the ability to save them, he could just watch from the side. Once the ball of fire in his hand flew to the wolf spider web, these people would die without a doubt. "Brother Tang Ao, do you have any good ideas?" Zhong Shan wasn't a stubborn person. After being blasted back by Ding Peng's palm, Zhong Shan didn't say much to Ding Peng. Similarly, Zhong Shan didn't rush forward again. The reason why Zhong Shan did that just now was mainly to force Ding Peng to make a move. But now, Zhong Shan understood that after that incident, Ding Peng was no longer the Ding Peng of the past. Just now, Ding Peng being able to force him back was already Ding Peng's limit. Zhong Shan guessed that Ding Peng would not stop him if he rushed towards the wolf spider web again. Zhong Shan could only sigh helplessly in his heart. It had been a long time since that incident, and Ding Peng's strength had undergone earth-shattering changes, but for some reason, he seemed to be unable to walk out of the shadow of that year. Tang Ao didn't know anything about those past events. At that instant, Tang Ao's mind was spinning rapidly as he thought about how to break the spider web and save Chu Feng. Right now, to Chu Feng and the people trapped in the spider web, the 9 tarantulas were clearly the most dangerous. Chapter 1279. The best way was for Chu Feng, who was in the web, to display his might and kill all 9 of the tarantulas. However, even though Chu Feng was a martial artist at the 6th level of the body refinement realm, a fierce tiger could not fight against a pack of wolves. At that instant, when Chu Feng was facing the 9 tarantulas at the 5th level, he could only defend. He had no strength to fight back. And this was even when Chu Feng was using his agility to continuously fight with the tarantulas. If it were a normal martial artist at the 6th level, they would have been killed by the tarantulas countless times already. Even so, Chu Feng's situation was still not optimistic. Under the siege of the 9 tarantulas, Chu Feng was constantly surrounded by danger. In a situation like that, the best way was to find a chance to kill one of the tarantulas. After breaking through the gap, he would kill all 9 of them. However, that was easy to think of, but in reality it was not so easy to do. Everyone, retreat. If these 9 tarantulas wreak havoc in Qin Yun village, the consequences will be unimaginable. I will eliminate these 9 tarantulas right now. As Tang Ao was thinking, Ho Tianxi suddenly spoke clearly. As he spoke, the flames gathered in Ho Tianxi's hands suddenly flew out and flew straight towards the spider web. That scene was out of everyone's expectations. Quite a few people had personally seen the power of the spider web's explosion. They simply could not imagine what kind of power such a large spider web would produce. So, in the instant that the exploding flames in Ho Tianxi's hand flew out, the martial artists trapped in the spider web closed their eyes in despair. A few people let out unwilling roars and curses. The surrounding martial artists quickly retreated. Their speed was so fast that it was as if they were using the fastest bodily skills in their lives. However, Tang Ao did not retreat. Instead, he advanced. It was originally not a dead end, but as Ho Tianxi threw out the flames, those people were truly dead. Tang Ao, retreat. As Tang Ao flew towards the spider web, a voice full of energy yelled from afar. Naturally, Tang Ao recognized that voice. It was one of the Vice Alliance masters of the Qing Yun Alliance, Lin Dongnan. However, Tang Ao was not yelled back by Lin Dongnan. After Lin Dongnan's reminder, Tang Ao still leaped towards the lively flames. In the instant he neared the flames, a dark blue flame appeared in front of Tang Ao. In the instant he neared the flames, a dark blue flame appeared in front of Tang Ao. Once the netherworld flame appeared, it instantly swallowed and refined Ho Tianxi's flame. At this time, Ho Tianxi's flame had arrived in front of the spider web. As long as Tang Ao hesitated for a moment, not only would all the cultivators on the spider web die, Tang Ao would also inevitably fall. At such a short distance, if the spider web exploded, Ao would be killed even if he used the Shenong cauldron. It was a good thing that Tang Ao acted decisively, so there was no tragedy. But when Tang Ao made a move to retract the flames, Ho Tianxi immediately cursed, "Bastard, you actually dare to stop this young master from killing the demonic beasts." Scram! This time, Tang Ao did not stand on ceremony with Ho Tianxi. Tang Ao hated this kind of hedonistic son who used his power to bully others. If it wasn't for the fact that Tang Ao did not want to cause trouble, even if Tang Ao killed Ho Tianxi, Tang Ao could only say that Ho Tianxi died in vain. As for the Vice Alliance master father behind Ho Tianxi, Tang Ao really did not put him in his eyes. If he really forced Tang Ao into a corner, Tang Ao could directly take out the primordial sacred heaven bow and send him on his way. It was just that with Tang Ao's current strength, after using the primordial sacred heaven bow, he would immediately exhaust his energy and lose his combat strength. If it was just a one-on-one fight, it would naturally be fine. But if Tang Ao was surrounded by a group of people, then Tang Ao would never dare to use the primordial sacred heaven bow. However, even if Tang Ao did not use the primordial sacred heaven bow, these people would not be able to stop Tang Ao. Chapter 1280. Tang Ao's scolding immediately infuriated Ho Tianxi. Ho Tianxi's yuan qi exploded. With a wave of his hand, a longsword life spirit was released instantly. The moment he saw this life spirit, Tang Ao was secretly speechless. This was because Ho Tianxi's cultivation was not strong. However, his martial arts talent was the strongest among all the experts that Tang Ao had met on the Feishing continent. This was because the life spirit that Ho Tianxi had summoned was the 11th level of Heaven's life spirit. Ho Tianxi was only a warrior at the 6th level of the body refining realm, but he could already comprehend the 11th level of Heaven's life spirit. Such martial talent could no longer be described as genius. He could be said to be monstrous. Even Tang Ao could not awaken such a powerful life spirit when he was at the 6th level of the body refining realm. Seeing Ho Tianxi's life spirit, Tang Ao could also understand why Ho Tianxi always had a domineering appearance. Because his martial talent was too outstanding, and under the protection of his father, Ho Tianxi might have formed the idea of being superior to others since he was young. It was just that since ancient times, there were countless warriors with outstanding martial talent, but the path of a genius was not so smooth. In the process of a warrior's growth, the number of geniuses who died prematurely accounted for almost 90% of the total number of geniuses. Therefore, if it was in the black-yellow continent or the ice and snow plains, a genius with a personality like Ho Tianxi would have died prematurely many times over. Even in this hidden dragon cave, Ho Tianxi was not absolutely safe. Not to mention Tang Ao, in this hidden dragon cave, there were many warriors at the 6th level of the body refining realm and above. Even warriors at the 8th and 9th level of the body refining realm were not rare. If Ho Tianxi were to fall into the hands of these people, he would probably not even know how he died. However, Ho Tianxi's father clearly thought of this problem, so he let Ding Peng, who was at the 8th level of the body refining realm, watch over Ho Tianxi. Ho Tianxi walked in front of Tang Ao and said in a cold voice, "You have quite the guts. Enough. Since you're not going to help, just leave." Lin Dongnan snorted coldly when he saw Ho Tianxi walking towards Tang Ao. Lin Dongnan and Ho Tianxi's father, Ho Yaoying, didn't get along, so Lin Dongnan didn't have a good expression when facing Ho Tianxi. Of course, this was not because Lin Dongnan was narrow-minded and vented his anger on Ho Tianxi, but because Ho Tianxi's actions made Lin Dongnan very uncomfortable. "Humph! Lin Dongnan, others might be afraid of you, but I..." "Impudent!" Without waiting for Ho Tianxi to finish speaking, Lin Dongnan waved his sleeves and slapped him. However, Lin Dongnan's slap still didn't land on Ho Tianxi's face. Instead, it was blocked by Ding Peng, who flashed like a ghost. Ding Peng was Lin Dongnan's junior. Therefore, when Ding Peng saw Lin Dongnan, he didn't be as rude as Ho Tianxi. Instead, he cupped his fists towards Lin Dongnan politely. "Deputy Alliance Leader Lin, sorry for the offense." After saying this, Ding Peng stood to the side. Those who were familiar with Ding Peng knew that Ding Peng had changed a lot. After so many years, Ding Peng had also become colder and colder. Lin Dongnan glanced at Ding Peng and said indifferently, "Sigh, you guys can leave." Ding Peng heard this as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. However, before Ding Peng could speak, Ho Tianxi immediately said, "It's easy to leave. Let Tang Ao fight with me. If he wins, this matter will be over. If he loses, I won't make things difficult for him. How about just breaking one of his hands?" Chapter 1281. The most terrifying thing was that ever since Ho Tianxi started cultivating, he had never lost in a battle with martial artists of the same level. Even if he fought with some martial artists who stayed in a certain realm all year round, Ho Tianxi would most likely end up in a draw or even a narrow victory. Hence, after Ho Tianxi proposed to fight with Tang Ao, it was also unexpected that Ho Tianxi was determined to break one of Tang Ao's arms this time. No one here thought that Tang Ao would be Ho Tianxi's match, especially under the circumstances where Ho Tianxi's cultivation was a whole level higher than Tang Ao's. Without waiting for Tang Ao to speak, Zhong Shan immediately said to Tang Ao, "Brother Tang Ao, this Ho Tianxi is a rare genius martial artist in the Hidden Dragon Crypt. Ever since he started cultivating, he has been an invincible existence among those of the same level. You leave immediately now, I'll block him for you." "Thank you for elder brother's good intentions. I, Tang Ao, have never had the practice of avoiding a battle and running away. Since young Master Ho wants to fight, then this Tang will fight," Tang Ao said as he took a step forward. The surrounding people also hurriedly avoided when they saw this scene. Afraid that Ho Tianxi would be unhappy and vent his anger on him, Lin Dongnan glanced at Tang Ao and walked towards the wolf spider web. Others could not do anything to the wolf spider web, but this could not stump him, Lin Dongnan. After mingling in the Hidden Dragon Crypt for so many years and also being Qin Yun's deputy alliance leader, Lin Dongnan naturally had an immortal artifact in his hands. It was just that Lin Dongnan's immortal artifact was also an immortal artifact fragment. Even with Tang Ao's eyesight, he could not tell what this immortal artifact fragment was. But sensing the sharp aura contained in this immortal artifact fragment, Tang Ao knew that Lin Dongnan wanted to break the wolf spider web without any problem. As long as the spider web was broken, with Lin Dongnan's cultivation at the 9th level of the body refining realm, the 9 tarantulas inside would not be enough for Lin Dongnan to defeat. Ho Tianxi stood in front of Tang Ao and said in a voice that only he and Tang Ao could hear, "You still have the mind to care about others? You should think about how you will die first. I've seen many people like you who are blindly confident, and I've killed many of them." As Tang Ao spoke, he stepped back. At the same time, his 100 battles spear soul flew out and collided with Ho Tianxi's sneak attack. Although it was only one strike, Tang Ao was still quite satisfied. It was no coincidence that Ho Tianxi was able to obtain the title of Invincible. Moreover, Ho Tianxi was not as brainless as people imagined him to be when fighting against martial artists. Even though Ho Tianxi's cultivation was 1 level higher than Tang Ao's, he still chose to provoke Tang Ao before launching a sneak attack against Tang Ao. If Tang Ao was just an ordinary person, Tang Ao would have died under Ho Tianxi's sword. "You do have some ability. No wonder you are so arrogant." Ho Tianxi could not help but praise Tang Ao when he saw how easily he dodged his sword. At the same time, he could even counterattack. "Now it is time for me to pay attention. As long as you can last 10 rounds against me, I will spare you." Ho Tianxi's words had yet to fade away when he stabbed out with his sword twice. Of the 2 attacks, each one was faster than the previous one, and each attack was filled with killing intent. The spear in Tang Ao's hand danced as he stabbed out several times, sealing off Ho Tianxi's sword light. At the same time, he stabbed out at Ho Tianxi's throat several times. However, Ho Tianxi was not a weakling either. The sword in his hand danced and sword flowers bloomed. Chapter 1282. But now, Tang Ao had exchanged 7 moves with Ho Tianxi and was not at a disadvantage at all. Zhong Shan had long known that Tang Ao's combat ability was not weak, but Zhong Shan had never imagined that Tang Ao's combat ability was strong to such an extent. One had to know that the person Tang Ao was fighting now was not an ordinary body refining realm 6th level martial artist, but the pinnacle of the body refining realm 6th level martial artist, the genius martial artist Ho Tianxi. This Tang Ao must have used some secret technique. Otherwise, how could he be young Master Ho's opponent? So what if he used a secret technique? Even if he used a secret technique, he is still not young Master Ho Tianxi's opponent. If I were him, I would cut off an arm and be done with it. With young Master Ho Tianxi's magnanimity, even if he cuts off an arm, young Master Ho Tianxi will definitely not make things difficult for him. The surrounding martial artists were discussing loudly, so it was easy for Tang Ao to hear them. After hearing this person say that Ho Tianxi was magnanimous, Tang Ao could not help but laugh. Ho Tianxi was very unhappy that he had not taken down Tang Ao. In Ho Tianxi's opinion, Tang Ao was just a body refining realm 5th level martial artist. He could not even last 3 moves against him, let alone 10. But now that 9 moves had passed, Tang Ao was only evenly matched with him. He was not at a disadvantage at all. If this continued, defeating Tang Ao within 10 moves was clearly a pipe dream. Clang! As Ho Tianxi's longsword clashed with Tang Ao's 100 battle soul spear again, Tang Ao immediately retreated. He held the 100 battle soul spear behind his back and said calmly, "Does young Master Ho's words still count?" The victor has yet to be decided. Enough nonsense. Let's fight again. After saying that, Ho Tianxi immediately rushed forward to fight Tang Ao again. As Tang Ao and Ho Tianxi fought again, a group of martial artists from afar also came over. Situ Qianqian was also mixed in with this group of martial artists. When Situ Qianqian arrived, she saw Tang Ao and Ho Tianxi fighting. Situ Qianqian was shocked because Ho Tianxi could be said to be an unparalleled figure in the Qing Yun Union. Ever since he started cultivating, he had never met a match in the same realm. Right now, Tang Ao's cultivation was one level lower than Ho Tianxi's. How could Tang Ao be a match for Ho Tianxi? Thus, Situ Qianqian hurriedly ran to Zhongshan's side. Uncle Zhong, why is senior brother Tang Ao fighting with Ho Tianxi? Quickly think of a way to stop them. Zhongshan laughed dryly. Your Uncle Zhong doesn't have that ability. However, little girl, you don't have to worry too much about that brat Tang Ao. Just now, he exchanged 10 moves with Ho Tianxi and didn't fall into a disadvantageous position. Seems like this brat is stronger than we thought. Just watch from the side with peace of mind. Situ Qianqian was stunned by Zhongshan's words. Tang Ao's cultivation was one level lower than Ho Tianxi's, but Tang Ao and Ho Tianxi exchanged 10 moves, and he actually didn't fall into a disadvantageous position. Even though she knew that Uncle Zhongshan wouldn't lie to her, Situ Qianqian's eyes were still filled with disbelief. Who is that guy fighting with Ho Tianxi? How is he so strong? Situ Qianqian and the others recognized Tang Ao, but most of the other martial artists didn't know who Tang Ao was. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Why do I see that this brat only has a cultivation at the 5th level of the body refining realm? If you didn't say it, I would have thought that I was the only one who saw that he only has a cultivation at the 5th level of the body refining realm. What kind of situation is this? I have never seen anyone at the same level as Ho Tianxi who could beat him. How can a guy at the 5th level of the body refining realm be able to fight with Ho Tianxi? Look at the token on his waist. He is also a member of our Qing Yun Union. When did our Qing Yun Union have such a strong guy? I feel that he must have used some secret technique. Otherwise, how could he fight with young Master Ho to such an extent? Chapter 1283. Although Tang Ao felt that Ho Tianxi's character was a little lacking, Tang Ao still admired Ho Tianxi's usage of martial techniques and grasp of opportunities. Tang Ao thought to himself that if he and Ho Tianxi had reached the 5th stage of the body refining realm for the first time, the outcome of this battle would have been hard to predict. As for now, Ho Tianxi and Tang Ao seemed to be evenly matched. However, Tang Ao knew that because of the 9 Dragons Emperor's jade body, the yuan qi in his body was abundant. Even though he was only at the 5th stage of the body refining realm, the yuan qi in Tang Ao's body was comparable to a 7th stage body refining realm martial artist. Therefore, if Ho Tianxi did not have a way to win in one move and continued to exhaust himself like this, Ho Tianxi would definitely lose. Ho Tianxi did not have a way to win in one move, but Tang Ao had many ways to win in one move. However, Tang Ao would not kill Ho Tianxi yet. Otherwise, he could kill Ho Tianxi hundreds of times with the Sky Polar Eyes, Hades' Sword, and Primordial Sacred Sky Bow. While fighting Ho Tianxi, Tang Ao had scanned with his soul remembrance and discovered that Lin Dongnan was about to break through the wolf spider web. In Lin Dongnan's hands was a dagger-shaped immortal artifact fragment. Tang Ao sighed inwardly. It seemed like there were many treasures in Evergreen Valley. If this was the black-yellow continent or the ice and snow plains, it would not be easy for a body-refining realm martial artist to see an immortal artifact fragment, let alone have one. Thinking of this, Tang Ao could not help but think of the legend of the Xitigarbha Cemetery. It was rumored that the Xitigarbha Cemetery was the ruins left behind after a battle between 2 godly king realm experts. Afterward, a powerful aura leaked out from the Xitigarbha Cemetery, and countless experts rushed to the Xitigarbha Cemetery in search of the godly king's relic. These experts also had shocking battles while searching for treasures. Therefore, there were countless treasures hidden in the Xitigarbha Cemetery. In the Evergreen Valley on the Facian continent, there were also ancient mutated demon beasts and many fragments of fairy artifacts. Thinking of this, Tang Ao understood many things. The Flying Star continent was very likely to be a part of the Xidigarba cemetery. It was just that the strength of the experts in the fierce battle back then was too terrifying and directly shattered the space, causing the Flying Star continent to wander into this space. You still dare to be distracted? You're courting death. Ho Tianxi looked at the slightly puzzled look in Tang Ao's eyes. How could he not know that Tang Ao was thinking about something else at this moment? Originally, Ho Tianxi had been suppressing his anger after failing to take down Tang Ao for so long. Now that he saw Tang Ao's relaxed appearance, he immediately forced Tang Ao back with his sword and immediately retreated. After Ho Tianxi retreated, the essence on his body immediately began to circulate rapidly. Strands of mist gathered around Ho Tianxi's body. At first, it was just mist. However, it slowly formed small droplets. Later on, they turned into streams of water that danced around Ho Tianxi. These streams of water seemed to be connected to Ho Tianxi's mind. As Ho Tianxi's thoughts changed, the streams of water released rhythmic fluctuations. Condense. Ho Tianxi formed hand seals, and the streams of water around him instantly transformed into extremely sharp icicles that hovered behind him. Furthermore, as his essence circulated, the strength and number of icicles slowly increased. Seeing the dozens of icicles hovering behind Ho Tianxi, the surrounding cultivators subconsciously retreated. Chapter 1284. An azure light flashed in Tang Ao's eyes. To Tang Ao, who had the skypole eyes, Ho Tianxi was joking when he used an ice-type technique against Tang Ao. Tang Ao could only say that Ho Tianxi was joking. Although the dozens of icicles that Ho Tianxi had summoned were all floating behind Ho Tianxi, Tang Ao could clearly sense and control these icicles when he used the skypole eyes. As long as Tang Ao was willing, Ho Tianxi would not even know how he died. However, although this Ho Tianxi was incomparably arrogant and had wanted to detonate the wolf spider web, Ho Tianxi still did not dare to kill Ho Tianxi. However, Tang Ao didn't dare to kill Ho Tianxi right now. Once Tang Ao killed Ho Tianxi, Tang Ao was sure that Ding Peng and the others behind Ho Tianxi would immediately join forces to besiege him. Moreover, since Ho Tianxi's father was the Deputy Union Master of the Clear Sky Alliance, he most likely had some ability. While Tang Ao and Ho Tianxi were fighting, the spectators were also discussing softly. Although Tang Ao had not been at a disadvantage in the battle with Ho Tianxi, everyone still did not think that Tang Ao would win. This was because Ho Tianxi was not only at the 6th level of the body refining realm, but also represented the height of the 6th level. Who would have thought that young Master Tianxi would use the Sunflower Mysterious technique to deal with such a small character? What a pity! Under young Master Tianxi's Sunflower Mysterious technique, no martial artist can leave alive. That's right. This Tang Ao is not bad. Look at him. He is only at the 5th level of the body refining realm, but he can fight with young Master Tianxi to this extent. If his cultivation breaks through to the 6th level of the body refining realm, it will be hard to say who will win. TSK, do you think he has a chance to break through to the 6th level of the body refining realm? When has young Master Tianxi's Sunflower Mysterious technique ever failed? Sigh. Ding Cheng was the same back then. It was not easy for him to make a name for himself, but in the end, this martial artist wasn't able to continue speaking because when he mentioned Ding Cheng, Ding Peng's abnormally cold gaze had already locked onto him. If he continued, he would most likely become a dead man. Ding Cheng was Ding Peng's elder brother. This elder brother who had risked his life to save him was now Ding Peng's reverse scale. Anyone who touches the reverse scale of a dragon will die. Listening to the conversations of the people around her, Situ Qianqian, who had just calmed down, became nervous again. Situ Qianqian stayed in the Qingyun village for most of the year, so she did not know much about the experts in the Qing Yun Union. However, Situ Qianqian had heard of Hou Tianxi's name before. Situ Qianqian had also heard of Hou Tianxi's famous sunflower water mysterious art. Now that she had personally seen the incomparably sharp icicles behind Hou Tianxi, Situ Qianqian was even more worried for Tang Ao. "Uncle Zhongshan, what should we do now?" Zhongshan was also a martial artist who guarded the Qing Yun village for many years. Hence, compared to the others, Situ Qianqian was closer to Zhongshan. Zhongshan was also a valiant martial artist. It was just that because of an accident, he had to retreat from the encampment of the Qing Yun Union to the Qing Yun village. Now that he saw Tang Ao in danger, Zhongshan also furrowed his brows. Chapter 1285. Kill! At this moment, Hou Tianxi roared, and the icicles behind him formed a dense net that rushed towards Tang Ao. The moment the giant net rushed over, Tang Ao stepped back, and then Tang Ao's figure jumped up. However, this giant net was like a living thing under Hou Tianxi's control. The icicles that formed the giant net immediately changed direction and flew towards Tang Ao in the air again. Flying to Tang Ao's front and back, these giant nets immediately scattered into sharp icicles, shooting towards Tang Ao. At this time, Tang Ao also put away the 100 battle spear soul, and a burst of bright green light bloomed. Behind Tang Ao, 7 green lotus swords appeared instantly. After these 7 green lotus swords appeared, they quickly moved and collided with the icicles shot by Hou Tianxi. In an instant, the yuan qi in the sky surged, and dazzling brilliance flashed. The sound of the collision between the icicles and the green lotus swords was constantly heard, and the icicles were constantly cut off by the green lotus swords. However, with the replenishment of Hou Tianxi's yuan qi, they quickly condensed and flew towards Tang Ao again. In an instant, Tang Ao was surrounded by fog, and the green light flashed constantly. At this time, the crowd could no longer see the shadow of the green lotus swords, and even the icicles that were constantly attacking Tang Ao became a little blurred. This was, of course, not because Hou Tianxi's attack had weakened, but because the speed of the two had reached a shocking level. Many people had such a thought at this moment, that was, could a battle between body-refining realm martial artists reach such a level? Bang! There was a shocking explosion in the air. Hou Tianxi's sky full of icicles actually exploded in an instant. This scene caused many warriors to be somewhat dumbfounded. However, those martial artists who were familiar with Hou Tianxi knew that since Hou Tianxi had detonated the icicles, the battle was already over. At this time, Hou Tianxi's faint voice also came out. "Your name is Tang Ao, right? I will remember it. You should be honored to die under this move of mine." At this time, Hou Tianxi's face was expressionless. It was as if killing a member of the Qing Yun Union was a very normal thing to him, even if this warrior could become one of the masters of the Qing Yun Union in the future. But because he was Hou Tianxi, he could kill anyone who offended him. Bang! What Hou Tianxi didn't expect was that the icicle that had exploded into ice shards suddenly exploded again. Hou Tianxi looked up and saw a blue light flashing in Tang Ao's eyes. At the same time, the explosion of the icicles didn't hurt Tang Ao at all. Hou Tianxi didn't know what method Tang Ao had used, but the flying icicles all stopped 3 feet away from Tang Ao's body, unable to go any further. And at this moment, the explosion was caused by the eruption of Tang Ao's energy, which shook off all the ice shards. After shaking off the ice shards, Tang Ao didn't hesitate. Tang Ao made a hand seal, and the 7 green lotus sword souls behind Tang Ao began to tremble violently. At the same time, a killing intent that made people tremble also spread out from the green lotus sword. The green lotus sword shook, and then 7 rays of green light flew towards Hou Tianxi at lightning speed. At this moment, Hou Tianxi, who had always been indifferent to life, actually had a strong desire to live. Ho Tianxi wanted to dodge, but he was shocked to find that his body seemed to be locked by something. At this moment, he actually couldn't move. Ho Tianxi couldn't imagine that Tang Ao was clearly only at the 5th level of the body refining realm, but how could Tang Ao be so strong? It should have been him who killed Tang Ao, but why was it that at this moment, he was walking towards death? Looking at the 7 rays of green light that were constantly enlarging in his eyes, Ho Tianxi's eyes were filled with despair. Chapter 1286. Boom! Just as the green light was about to hit Ho Tianxi, 2 silhouettes suddenly appeared in front of him. The first silhouette was a body refining realm level 6 martial artist that followed Ho Tianxi. This martial artist was holding a spirit treasure shield in his hands. However, at this moment, this spirit treasure shield had a hole in it, and the surrounding area was filled with cracks. This martial artist looked at his chest in disbelief. This was because after the green light had pierced through his shield, it had instantly entered his chest. At this moment, he saw that his chest was empty, and there was a large, transparent hole. However, he did not feel any pain at all. He lifted his head and looked suspiciously. He saw Tang Ao move his lips. Although he could not hear what Tang Ao was saying, he could imagine that Tang Ao was probably saying that he was courting death, and that he could not blame Tang Ao. This was the last thought in the mind of this body, refining realm level 6 martial artist. After thinking of this, his lips curled into a self-deprecating smile, and his body fell heavily to the ground. Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists could not help but draw in a breath of cold air. Terrifying. This was simply too terrifying. A martial artist at the peak of the body refining realm level 6 had actually been killed in one move by Tang Ao. Moreover, he had been killed in one move by Tang Ao while using a spirit treasure to defend himself. Ho Tianxi was indeed known as a genius martial artist. His battle record of being unrivaled in the same level was enough to be proud of. Moreover, Ho Tianxi also had the ability to fight above his level, and he had done so many times. However, in all of Ho Tianxi's battles above his level, there had never been a case of him killing a martial artist one level higher in one move. In other words, Tang Ao's strength far exceeded everyone's imagination. Tang Ao's battle power was not weaker than Ho Tianxi's, but even exceeded Ho Tianxi's. Puchi! At this moment, the martial artist in front of Ho Tianxi also spat out a mouthful of blood. When the crowd saw this martial artist who had spat out blood, they could not help but gasp. This person's reputation wasn't that great, but he was a true body refining realm 7th level martial artist. This was a bald man wearing animal skin. Because of his burly figure, he was only pierced in the ribs by the green lotus sword, unlike the warrior in front of him, who was pierced in the heart by the green lotus sword. Even so, his injuries were not optimistic. After taking a pill, the bald man immediately sat cross-legged on the ground and began to heal his injuries. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked speechless. Although the bald man had only attacked in a hurry, Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul had pierced through a spirit weapon and a martial artist at the 6th level of the body refining realm before injuring him. If it wasn't for his burly body, he would have been pierced through by the azure lotus sword soul. After witnessing such frightening lethality, everyone looked at Tang Ao with some respect. In the world of martial arts, the strong were respected. In the Hidden Dragon Cave, there were many martial artists at the 5th level of the body refining realm. They were not considered strong, but Tang Ao was the first to be able to kill someone at the 6th level of the body refining realm in an instant. Moreover, Tang Ao had not only killed a martial artist at the 6th level of the body refining realm with his cultivation at the 5th level of the body refining realm, he had also killed a martial artist at the 7th and 8th level of the body refining realm. That's right, other than the two people just now, Ding Peng, who had instantly appeared to save Ho Tianxi, had also been killed by Tang Ao's Green Lotus Sword Soul. Chapter 1287. At that moment, Ho Tianxi also recovered from his previous shock. After turning around, Ho Tianxi immediately pointed at Tang Ao and howled, "Bastard, you dare to kill me? I want you dead. Ding Peng, go kill him." Facing Ho Tianxi's order, Ding Peng was a bit hesitant. Of course, it wasn't that Ding Peng was afraid of Tang Ao. It was because Lin Dongnan had already saved Chu Feng, and the 9 tarantulas were all killed by Lin Dongnan. So, if he attacked Tang Ao again, Ding Peng knew that Lin Dongnan would definitely interfere. Lin Dongnan was also one of the Vice Alliance heads of Qin Yun. If he didn't have anything to do, it would be impossible for him to be in that position. Ding Peng hadn't fought Lin Dongnan head-on, but Ding Peng didn't believe that he, who was in the 8th level, could defeat Lin Dongnan, who was at the peak of the 9th level. "Ding Peng, are you a pig? I'm telling you to go kill Tang Ao immediately." Ho Tianxi furiously roared again when he saw Ding Peng's indifference. After speaking, Ho Tianxi said to the people fighting at the side, "You don't want to live either? My father told you to listen to me. Go kill Tang Ao right now." At that moment, Ho Tianxi was a bit like a mad demon. Ever since he started cultivating, Ho Tianxi had always been an existence that crushed his peers. He had never suffered any losses, nor had he met any setbacks. Even the sunflower water mysterious technique that no one in Qin Yun's alliance could cultivate was successfully cultivated by him. But today, he suffered such humiliation from Tang Ao's hands. If he didn't kill Tang Ao, he wouldn't be able to swallow this anger. After hearing Ho Tianxi's words, they hesitated for a moment, then also walked towards Tang Ao. However, Ding Peng still didn't move. Instead, he looked at Tang Ao with extreme vigilance. Just now, Tang Ao's 7 kills Holy Dao left a deep impression on Ding Peng. Ding Peng was sure that if Ho Tianxi had transformed normally, it would not have been a problem for him to snatch Tang Ao's 7-killing divine path. But now, Ho Tianxi had lost his rationality. If he were to surround Tang Ao and Tang Ao used the 7-kill Sage Dao to attack Ho Tianxi, in the end, the best result was that they might be able to kill Tang Ao, but Ho Tianxi would definitely die. The reason why he said it was possible was because once Lin Dongnan interfered, it would be wishful thinking for them to kill Tang Ao. "Ding Peng, are you deaf? This young master is telling you to kill him as well, Tang Ao." As Ho Tianxi spoke, he stabbed out with his sword, but it was caught by Ding Peng. The boiling hot blood flew onto Ho Tianxi's face. Feeling the stimulation of the fresh blood, Ho Tianxi's crazed demeanor also improved a little. After taking a deep breath, the longsword light in Ho Tianxi's hand dissipated. This was originally Ho Tianxi's life spirit. Under Ho Tianxi's control, this life spirit also returned to Ho Tianxi's body. "Uncle Ding Peng, if Tang Ao doesn't die today, a heart demon will definitely form in your nephew's heart. Uncle Ding Peng, please kill Tang Ao for me." Although his emotions had calmed down, Ho Tianxi's eyes were still filled with cold killing intent towards Tang Ao. On the other side, the few martial artists who had attacked first had already arrived in front of Tang Ao. Tang Ao waved his sleeves, and 7 green lotus swords appeared in a fan shape beside Tang Ao. "I don't want to kill you. Step down." At this moment, there were martial artists at the 7th and 6th stage of the body refining realm in front of Tang Ao, but they didn't feel that there was anything wrong with Tang Ao's words. Chapter 1288. At that moment, the aura on Tang Ao's body was even. It was impossible to tell if Tang Ao had exhausted a lot of energy from the attack just now. If one only looked at it from the surface, Tang Ao's face was calm and his aura was even. After using the 7 slaughter divine way, he didn't seem to have exhausted any energy at all. Such a thing was simply unheard of. So, even though they surrounded Tang Ao, not a single person dared to attack him. As they hesitated, they suddenly felt a heavy aura pressing down on them. After feeling that aura, everyone's faces lit up. Even without turning their heads, they knew that there was no one else other than Ding Ping who had that aura. When Situ Qianqian saw Ho Tianxi's subordinates surrounding Tang Ao, she immediately panicked. When she looked towards Lin Dongnan's direction, she saw Lin Dongnan treating Chu Feng's injuries. Chu Feng's current state was very bad. He seemed to be on the verge of death. Lin Dongnan didn't have any children, and Chu Feng was Lin Dongnan's adopted son. In a situation like that, without even thinking, Situ Qianqian knew that Lin Dongnan wouldn't come to help Tang Ao. Thinking to that point, Situ Qianqian took out her pair of short spikes and ran to Tang Ao's side. "Big brother Tang Ao, this time, I'll fight alongside you." "Qianqian, step back. Tang Ao doesn't put these people in his eyes. Arrogant, domineering." Tang Ao's voice wasn't loud, but it was definitely not soft. "These people don't put these people in my eyes. How arrogant and domineering is this?" A martial artist at the 5th level of the body refinement realm could actually say such words when facing a group of martial artists who were 1 or 2 levels stronger than him. Enough, scram. Although Lin Dongnan was using his essence to prolong Chu Feng's life, his thunderous voice still exploded in everyone's ears. Merely, at this moment, it was clear that Lin Dongnan's words did not possess that much of a deterrent force. Especially after the crowd saw Chu Feng's appearance of exhaling more than he inhaled, and his appearance of being on the verge of death, even Ding Ping took a step forward and began to oppress Tang Ao. If he had a choice, Tang Ao really did not want to face an expert like Ding Ping in this current situation. After executing the 7 kills Divine Tao, although Tang Ao's primordial energy was not depleted, Tang Ao only had about 50% of his primordial energy left. If Tang Ao was at his peak, Tang Ao would not be afraid of Ding Ping. But now, not only did he have to face Ding Ping, but he also had to deal with a group of other warriors. Tang Ao could not bear it. "Ding Ping, step down." Just as Ding Ping was about to attack Tang Ao, a voice came from afar. Hearing this voice, a trace of surprise flashed through Ding Ping's eyes. However, Ding Ping really did not make any further movements and stepped back. It seemed that this person's words were even more effective than Ho Tianxi's. Ho Tianxi naturally heard this voice too. Immediately, his face lit up with joy. "Big brother Tianlin, quickly kill this person for me." The person who came was none other than Ho Tianxi's older brother, Ho Tianlin. If Ho Tianxi represented the 6th level of the body refinement realm, then Ho Tianlin represented the 8th level of the body refinement realm. Like Ho Tianxi, Ho Tianlin was also a monstrously talented martial artist. Furthermore, compared to Ho Tianxi, Ho Tianlin was even more outstanding. Tang Ao raised his head and saw a young man wearing clothes whiter than snow standing on a treetop. With just a single glance from afar, Tang Ao knew that this person was not easy to deal with. Or perhaps it could be said that the current him was simply not a match for this person. If one were to say that Ding Peng's aura, which was as steady as a boulder, was already considered to be outstanding amongst the 8th level of the body refining realm, then the faintly discernible aura of this white-clothed man could be considered to be the strongest amongst the outstanding. Chapter 1289. Moreover, Lin Dongnan and Ho Tianlin had fought 3 times. Out of the 3 battles, 2 draws and 1 loss. The 1 loss wasn't Lin Dongnan's victory, but Lin Dongnan's defeat. However, not many people knew about this, and unlike Ho Tianxi, Ho Tianlin never boasted about his achievements. Therefore, many people knew that Ho Tianlin was strong, but almost no one knew exactly how strong he was. If Ho Tianlin had insisted on killing Tang Ao might not have escaped death today. Lin Dongnan had a good impression of Tang Ao, so Lin Dongnan didn't want Tang Ao to be obliterated before he could grow. But in today's situation, even Lin Dongnan couldn't think of a way for Tang Ao to survive. "Big brother," Ho Tianxi said again when Ho Tianlin didn't move. However, before Ho Tianxi could finish, Ho Tianlin waved his hand. "You're in the wrong today." Lin Dongnan breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Ho Tianlin's words. Zhong Shan and Sidu Qianqian also breathed a sigh of relief. Ho Tianlin's name was well known in the Hidden Dragon Crypt. Ho Yaoying and Lin Dongnan had both lost to Cold Moon when the Qin Yun Alliance was formed. However, only Cold Moon and Ho Tianlin knew that Ho Tianlin had defeated Cold Moon by half a move. However, Ho Tianlin wasn't interested in becoming the leader of the Qin Yun Alliance, so he immediately left the Qin Yun Alliance and stayed in the Evergreen Valley. Ho Tianlin, who had disappeared for several years, didn't expect to appear at this time. Sidu Qianqian had just calmed down when Ho Tianlin said, "Even if my second brother is in the wrong, I should be the one to teach him a lesson. So, you deserve to die." Ho Tianlin's tone was calm and indifferent. It was as if he wanted Tang Ao dead, so Tang Ao had to die. However, no one doubted Ho Tianlin's domineering tone. Even Tang Ao completely believed that he was no match for Ho Tianlin. Even if he used all his skills, he still wouldn't be a match for Ho Tianlin. When Tang Ao saw Ho Tianlin, he was reminded of Dongswini from the Seven Kills sect. Ho Tianlin was just like Dongswini, both exuded an unquestionable and powerful aura. This kind of aura was not something that could be faked. A person with such a powerful aura was definitely not a weakling. However, Tang Ao wasn't someone who would easily accept his fate. Even if Tang Ao wasn't Ho Tianlin's opponent, Tang Ao felt that if he wanted to leave, Ho Tianlin wouldn't be able to stop him. "My cultivation is 3 levels higher than yours, so I won't bully you. As long as you can take one move from me, I'll let this matter rest." While Tang Ao was pondering, Ho Tianlin spoke coldly again. "I'll take it." Everyone, including Ho Tianlin himself, didn't expect that Tang Ao would agree to his proposal without even thinking about it. Therefore, the same thought surfaced in everyone's mind. Did Tang Ao really want to die? Although no one believed that Tang Ao could survive Ho Tianlin's appearance, if Lin Dongnan was willing to help, Tang Ao might not necessarily die. Moreover, judging from Lin Dongnan's attitude toward Tang Ao, it was obvious that he would help Tang Ao. However, no one knew that Lin Dongnan was no longer a match for Ho Tianlin. However, Lin Dongnan didn't tell anyone about this, and Ho Tianlin didn't care to show off his battle achievements either. In Ho Tianlin's opinion, defeating Lin Dongnan wasn't something to be proud of. "What do you think, Deputy Chief Lin?" Ho Tianlin asked Lin Dongnan after a moment of confusion. Ho Tianlin wasn't afraid of anyone present. The reason why he asked Lin Dongnan was because he was giving Lin Dongnan face. A year ago, Lin Dongnan wasn't a match for him. Now, Lin Dongnan probably wasn't even qualified to fight him. Chapter 1290. Tang Ao could tell that Ho Tianlin's cultivation was at the peak of the 8th level of the body refining realm. But Tang Ao knew that Ho Tianlin belonged to the category of monstrous geniuses, just like him. They couldn't use cultivation to measure their true battle prowess. But right now, Tang Ao didn't want to fight to the death with Ho Tianlin. If he fought with Ho Tianlin in his current state, Tang Ao would really be looking to die. Right now, Tang Ao had to consider how to take Ho Tianlin's attack. As for whether Ho Tianlin would regret and kill him if he took Ho Tianlin's attack with all his strength, Tang Ao didn't think so. People like Ho Tianlin had their own pride. If he couldn't kill Tang Ao in one strike, he definitely wouldn't attack again. Although he might not give up on killing him, Tang Ao knew that as long as he could take one strike, he would be fine. Right now, what Tang Ao needed the most was time and cultivation resources. Given a bit more time, Tang Ao could quickly restore his cultivation to the 9th level of the body refining realm, or even the origin martial realm. At that time, Tang Ao could really do whatever he wanted in the hidden dragon cave. But right now, whether it was time or cultivation resources, Tang Ao had a hard time getting them. The place with the most cultivation resources in the hidden dragon cave was the Evergreen Valley. Therefore, Tang Ao was prepared to immediately head to the Evergreen Valley once this matter was settled. No power, no dignity. That was the iron rule of the world of martial artists. During this time, Tang Ao felt this iron rule more and more clearly. Taking a deep breath, Tang Ao said calmly, "Please enlighten me, Brother Ho." "All right, as long as you can take one of my attacks, then this matter is over. This matter ends here. If you can't handle it, I won't hold back either," Ho Tianlin said as he leaped down from the treetop. His steps were frighteningly light, and when he landed on the ground, there was no sound at all. Ever since Lin Dongnan had lost to Ho Tianlin a year ago, he'd been cultivating diligently for the past year. However, after meeting Ho Tianlin, Lin Dongnan realized that not only had he failed to close the gap between him and Ho Tianlin, it had actually grown wider. Lin Dongnan secretly sighed in his heart. Could it be that the Evergreen Valley really trained people like this? Or could it be that there was some secret in Evergreen Valley that he didn't know? However, Lin Dongnan and Tang Ao were different. Tang Ao had never been to Evergreen Valley, but Lin Dongnan had been to Evergreen Valley countless times. However, Evergreen Valley was too vast, and there were countless poisonous insects, ferocious beasts, and traps. Lin Dongnan did not dare to go too deep. The martial artists of the Hidden Dragon Crypt divided the Evergreen Valley into 3 regions: the outer region, the middle region, and the depths of the Evergreen Valley. Among these 3 regions, the outer region of Evergreen Valley was managed by 12 factions. Members of each alliance could only enter the region of their faction to search for rare treasures. The Qing Yun alliance that Tang Ao belonged to controlled the 9th region of the outer region. Compared to the other regions, the 9th region was much more desolate. Moreover, because the Qing Yun alliance was weaker, many beasts migrated to the 9th region to survive. This made it even more difficult for members of the Qing Yun alliance to enter Evergreen Valley to collect spiritual materials. Chapter 1291. Countless battles took place in the Hidden Dragon Crypt every day. Even cultivators belonging to the same alliance could easily have conflicts over some benefit. After all, in the Hidden Dragon Crypt, cultivation and resources were always the most important. Other things could only be imagined and felt extravagant. After releasing his Yuan Qi, Ho Tianlin didn't immediately attack Tang Ao. Ho Tianlin seemed to want to use this shocking aura to make Tang Ao feel fear, but he was disappointed. Tang Ao's eyes remained calm from beginning to end. It was as if Ho Tianlin's terrifying Yuan Qi wasn't even worth mentioning in front of Tang Ao. However, Ho Tianlin didn't believe that was the case. Ho Tianlin knew that there were several old guys in the Hidden Dragon Crypt whose cultivation was higher than his, not to mention outside the Hidden Dragon Crypt. However, Ho Tianlin didn't think that Tang Ao was qualified to come into contact with people of this level. Therefore, Ho Tianlin concluded that Tang Ao's current calmness was a forced act. In Tang Ao's heart, he was probably already terrified. It was just that Tang Ao's expression made Ho Tianlin very uncomfortable, so after gathering his Yuan Qi, Ho Tianlin suddenly changed his hand seal. Ho Tianlin's hand seals changed abruptly. Then, a wisp of mist surrounded Ho Tianlin and emitted out. This scene was very familiar to Tang Ao, as Ho Tianxi had just used it. However, compared to Ho Tianxi, Ho Tianlin's sunflower water mysterious skill was even more overbearing. At the same time that Ho Tianlin used the sunflower water mysterious skill, everyone felt the temperature of the space suddenly drop a lot. Ho Tianxi was the most shocked to see this scene. Originally, in the Qing Yun Alliance and even in the Hidden Dragon Crypt, he was the first person to cultivate the sunflower water mysterious skill. His older brother, Ho Tianlin, had cultivated it before, but he didn't succeed. Even a year ago, Ho Tianxi was sure that his brother didn't know the sunflower water mysterious skill. But now, Ho Tianlin's use of the sunflower water mysterious skill was even more skillful than his. Clearly, in this year, his brother had not only made great progress in cultivation, but also mastered the sunflower water mysterious skill. Although the two of them were blood brothers, this kind of thing still made Ho Tianxi very uncomfortable. However, Ho Tianxi did not dare to express such emotions. This was the dragon subduing crypt. Even kinship was very fragile in this place. Here, strength was the most important thing. Powerful martial artists could do whatever they wanted here, but for weak martial artists, surviving here was simply a kind of torture. It was also because he understood this principle that Ho Tianxi had been training very hard. Otherwise, he wouldn't have achieved what he had today just by relying on his martial arts talent. However, after witnessing Ho Tianlin's strength, Ho Tianxi couldn't help but feel dissatisfied with his own cultivation speed. Ho Tianlin was only 3 years older than him, but Ho Tianlin was already at the peak of the 8th level of the body refining realm, while he was only at the 6th level. If he was at the 8th level of the body refining realm, he would not have been humiliated by Tang Ao in the past few days. For a small shrimp like Tang Ao, he could casually kill him with a wave of his hand. Although he was thinking this, Ho Tianxi's sole remembrance was still completely focused on Tang Ao and Ho Tianlin. This was because in the battle with Tang Ao, there was one thing that Ho Tianxi could not understand. What kind of method did Tang Ao use? When the icicle exploded, Tang Ao actually didn't die from the explosion. Besides observing Tang Ao, Ho Tianxi was also observing Ho Tianlin. Although Ho Tianxi cultivated the sunflower water mysterious skill, it was still an incomplete technique. Although he had barely succeeded in cultivating it, there were still many problems. Chapter 1292. The cold wind howled, and the already cold dragon subduing caves became even colder. The battle between Tang Ao, who was at the 5th level of the body refining realm, and Ho Tianlin, who was at the 8th level of the body refining realm, could be said to have no suspense. Ho Tianlin was different from his younger brother, Ho Tianxi. In the dragon subduing caves, he had fought very few times. Very few martial artists had seen him fight, but everyone's evaluation of his strength was unusually high. Ever since Ho Tianxi started cultivating, he had always swept away martial artists of the same level. But in Ho Tianxi's battles, there had been draws and even defeat. Although the ones who defeated Ho Tianxi were warriors with higher cultivation than him, Ho Tianxi was still defeated in the end. But his older brother, Ho Tianlin, was different. Ever since he started cultivating, Ho Tianlin had never been defeated. It was also because of this that everyone looked at Tang Ao with pity in their eyes. Tang Ao was also considered a very strong martial artist. When he was at the 5th level of the body refining realm, he could jump levels to defeat a genius like Ho Tianxi. But it was a pity that geniuses had short lives. Tang Ao had just begun to show his talent when he encountered a terrifying opponent like Ho Tianlin. Even if it had bin Lin Dongnan against Tang Ao, everyone still thought that Tang Ao might have had a chance of survival. But against Ho Tianlin, Tang Ao's chances of survival were very slim. So slim that they didn't exist at all. Ice crystals began to appear behind Ho Tianlin, as if they were formed by shining stars. These stars contained a terrifying power, a power that could destroy everything. However, even so, Tang Ao's expression was still as calm as a pool of still water. Or rather, against an opponent like Ho Tianlin, Tang Ao didn't have any confidence even if he could only take one move from him. So Tang Ao was probably already indifferent to life and death. Do you have any last words? It's best to keep them short. As he used the sunflower mysterious technique, Ho Tianlin asked Tang Ao calmly. Ho Tianlin rarely asked questions like this, but when he did, it meant that someone was going to die. And the person who was going to die this time was obviously Tang Ao. If you have any last words, I would be interested to hear them. To everyone's surprise, when Tang Ao opened his mouth, Tang Ao actually said such a sentence. If you have any last words, I'm interested to hear them. Was he still being stubborn in the face of death, or was he trying to regain some dignity before he died? Hearing Tang Ao's words, Ho Tianlin didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed. He wasn't someone who got angry easily, especially when it came to dead people. Although Tang Ao was still alive, in Ho Tianlin's eyes, Tang Ao was already a dead man. Everyone dies one day, and some people might need a little help. Ho Tianlin couldn't help but think of this sentence. Maybe Tang Ao was this kind of person. Ho Tianlin didn't rush to make a move. It wasn't that Ho Tianlin didn't want to make a move, but during the battle between Tang Ao and his younger brother, Ho Tianxi, Ho Tianlin saw with his own eyes that Tang Ao had used some kind of technique to block Ho Tianxi's sunflower mysterious art. Ho Tianlin was different from Ho Tianxi. A year ago, he found the complete sunflower mysterious technique in the Evergreen Valley. He didn't tell anyone about this because he knew how powerful it was after cultivating the sunflower water mysterious art. On the Feishing continent, the strongest cultivator could only reach the origin martial realm. But according to the records of the sunflower mysterious technique, as long as one mastered it, they would at least reach the celestial realm. Chapter 1293. This secret made Ho Tianlin find it hard to believe. It was that he obtained a soul remembrance scroll from the Qin Yun Alliance's Alliance Leader's Medallion. After this scroll was imprinted in Ho Tianlin's mind, the Qin Yun Medallion became an ordinary keepsake. From this soul remembrance scroll, Ho Tianlin learned about the outside world. He learned that the so-called origin martial realm experts were only ants among ants in the outside world. At the same time, Ho Tianlin also learned that this world didn't only have Yuan Qi. There was also spiritual energy that was hundreds of times stronger than Yuan Qi. Above spiritual energy, there was also the existence of immortal spiritual energy. Through this soul remembrance scroll, Ho Tianlin entered deep into Evergreen Valley and obtained the complete sunflower water mysterious technique. After cultivating the sunflower water mysterious technique, Ho Tianlin was even more certain of the things recorded in the scroll. Thus, when he saw what method Tang Ao used to block the sunflower water mysterious technique, Ho Tianlin was very curious. Using the excuse of avenging Ho Tianxi, he found Tang Ao. Compared to Ho Tianxi, Ho Tianlin didn't have any thoughts of being superior. In Ho Tianlin's opinion, if he could obtain the soul remembrance scroll, then other people could also obtain it. Moreover, Ho Tianlin guessed that Tang Ao was very likely such a person. Thus, Ho Tianlin didn't rush to attack. He was preparing for Tang Ao. He wanted to see if Tang Ao really had some trump card. However, what disappointed Ho Tianlin was that Tang Ao really seemed to be a reckless idiot who didn't care about his life. Facing his terrifying pressure, Tang Ao was completely indifferent. Tang Ao was able to cultivate to the 5th stage of the body refining realm at such a young age. Furthermore, he was able to defeat his younger brother Ho Tianxi at the 5th stage of the body refining realm. Ho Tianlin didn't believe that Tang Ao didn't have any trump cards. However, Ho Tianlin didn't understand why Tang Ao didn't plan on using his trump card even when facing such a life and death crisis. Or was it because he was too strong and Tang Ao knew that even if he used his trump card, he still wouldn't be his opponent? So Tang Ao chose to calmly accept death? All of these thoughts seemed complicated, but in reality, Ho Tianlin had gone through them in the blink of an eye. Ho Tianlin was puzzled, and so was Tang Ao. Tang Ao couldn't understand why Ho Tianlin would need so much time to prepare for a mere 5th-level body, refining realm martial artist like him. Although it was said that even a lion would use its full strength to catch a rabbit, the feeling that Ho Tianlin gave Tang Ao right now was that he, Tang Ao, was not a martial artist in the 5th level of the body refinement realm, but a martial artist in the 5th level of the origin realm. Therefore, Ho Tianlin had to give it his all in this attack. Looking at Ho Tianlin's rising aura, Tang Ao hesitated. Should he take Ho Tianlin's attack head-on, or should he summon the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud to escape? But at this moment, Tang Ao's eyes narrowed, and the heavenly polar eyes were instantly released. A bright azure light flashed in Tang Ao's eyes. However, this azure light was too special. It couldn't be seen with the naked eye and couldn't be sensed with soul remembrance. Only martial artists with other pupils would be able to see it. But even so, everyone could still see the 36 snow patterns in Tang Ao's eyes. But at this moment, everyone was focused on Ho Tianlin's heavenly polar halberd. They didn't have time to observe Tang Ao's changes. Compared to Ho Tianxi's ice all, Ho Tianlin's heavenly polar halberd was more than 100 times stronger. The terrifying aura emitted from the heavenly polar halberd also caused people to tremble. The heavy pressure even made some of the weaker martial artists feel suffocated. Chapter 1294. Although Tang Ao and Ho Tianlin were both members of the Qin Yun Alliance, Tang Ao had run into Ho Tianlin's hands. Ho Tianlin wouldn't care about the friendship of the Qin Yun Alliance at all. Zhong Shan was very optimistic about Tang Ao. As long as Tang Ao could grow up smoothly, he would definitely be stronger than Ho Tianlin. As for Ho Tianxi, he wasn't even worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as Tang Ao. Unfortunately, Tang Ao wouldn't have the chance to grow up. After Ho Tianlin's attack, Tang Ao would die without a doubt. Just as Zhong Shan was thinking this, Ho Tianlin attacked. Boom! Everyone heard an explosion of energy in the air. Soon after, a bone-chilling ice storm suddenly erupted. A layer of white frost appeared on the eyebrows of the surrounding martial artists. The short plants on the ground were also instantly frozen. Immediately after, the ice storm suddenly shook and shattered into pieces of ice. Meanwhile, the halberd in the center of the ice storm was like an angry ice dragon that pounced towards Tang Ao. The terrifying aura seemed to want to tear Tang Ao to pieces. Rumble! Kacha kacha! A wave of chaotic energy flew everywhere. Tang Ao's figure was instantly engulfed by this terrifying cold air. When everyone's soul remembrance probed, they could only feel a wave of incomparably violent energy attacks. As for Tang Ao, they couldn't even see a shadow. Was Tang Ao blown to smithereens? A martial artist, who was resisting the incoming ice storm, asked his companions around him. I don't know. However, my soul remembrance can't detect Tang Ao. He's probably dead. AI. After a year, young Master Tianlin has actually gotten this strong? This Tang Ao is really wrong. He finally managed to show his talent, but in the end, he fell into young Master Tianlin's hands. Listening to everyone's discussion, Situ Qianqian also used her soul remembrance to probe twice. Her tears couldn't help but flow out. Situ Qianqian only felt that it was extremely unfair. In this world, good people did not live long, while scourges lasted for thousands of years. Tang Ao was such a good person, how could he die like this? Thinking of this, Situ Qianqian was about to rush into the ice storm. Fortunately, Zhong Shan had been paying attention to her. Hence, Situ Qianqian had just taken a step when Zhong Shan pulled her back. Girl, don't you want to live any more? Zhong Shan roared in exasperation. Regarding Tang Ao's matter, Zhong Shan also felt very regretful, but what could he do? Even an ordinary 8th level body refining realm martial artist might not be able to withstand Ho Tianlin's attacks, let alone a mere 5th level body refining realm martial artist like Tang Ao. If Tang Ao had reached the 8th level of the body refining realm before fighting with Ho Tianlin, the outcome would have been uncertain. But the difference between Tang Ao and Ho Tianlin was just too great. Therefore, Tang Ao's chances of survival were slim. The reason they felt that Tang Ao had a chance of survival was because Tang Ao had previously created many miracles. Therefore, even at this time, everyone still had a sliver of hope that Tang Ao could miraculously survive. However, the Yuan Qi in Tang Ao and Ho Tianlin's battle was still incomparably chaotic, so there was no way to know what the current situation was. Who? A figure suddenly jumped out of the ice storm. This person's clothes were whiter than snow, and he had one hand behind his back. It was Ho Tianlin. After Ho Tianlin jumped out of the ice storm, he waved his hand, and the chaotic Yuan Qi slowly dissipated like a tornado. Everyone's gazes immediately looked towards where Tang Ao had been standing. However, they didn't see Tang Ao, only an enormous icicle. Kacha kacha! Chapter 1295. How was it? After the ice pillar shattered, Tang Ao calmly spat out these two words. Although Tang Ao's voice wasn't loud, these two words were abnormally clear in everyone's ears. Ho Tianlin didn't speak for a long time. Just now, his sole remembrance had been focused on Tang Ao, so when Tang Ao had used heavenly polar pupils, Ho Tianlin had noticed some clues. However, Ho Tianlin didn't know that such a heaven-defying existence like heavenly polar pupils existed, so he couldn't tell how Tang Ao had managed to block his attack. Since you were able to block one of my attacks, I'll naturally forget about this matter. Let's go. After Ho Tianlin finished speaking, he prepared to leave in the opposite direction. Although Ho Tianxi still wanted to kill Tang Ao, he didn't dare go against Ho Tianlin's wishes right now. If it was a year ago, his father Ho Yaoying and Ho Tianlin's battle would have been evenly matched. Now, however, Ho Tianxi was certain that his father was no longer his brother's opponent. Wait! Just as Ho Tianlin was about to leave, he was stopped by Tang Ao. Tang Ao's words also caused everyone to be stunned. He had just barely managed to keep his life. Was Tang Ao really not afraid of death? This Tang will remember today's events. In the future, I will definitely come to Evergreen Valley to visit everyone. Tang Ao's tone was very calm. It was as if Tang Ao had truly become friends with Ho Tianlin and the others through this matter. Therefore, Tang Ao was going to visit Evergreen Valley's encampment in the future. However, none of the warriors present were stupid, so they naturally understood the meaning behind Tang Ao's words. Of course, Tang Ao wasn't going to visit Ho Tianlin. Instead, he was saying that he would definitely return the humiliation he had suffered today. Oh! Ho Tianlin also stopped in his tracks with great interest. He casually smiled and said, "I hope you will come." After saying this, Ho Tianlin didn't stay any longer and directly walked into the distance. Ho Tianlin hadn't been able to kill Tang Ao in a single strike. Although he had held back on purpose, he was an 8th level body refining realm martial artist, and he had been unable to kill a 5th level body refining realm martial artist in a single strike. Ho Tianlin felt that it was extremely humiliating. Therefore, he didn't have the face to continue staying here. Furthermore, Ho Tianlin had left Evergreen Valley to look for Ho Tianxi. A month later, the outskirts of the Hidden Dragon Crypt's 12 forces would be redistributed. Every time the territory was divided, it would be the martial artists of the body refining realm between the 5th and 7th levels of the various factions who went up to compete. Furthermore, in the remembrance scroll that Ho Tianlin had obtained, there was a treasure hidden somewhere in the first region. Therefore, Ho Tianlin hoped that this time, his younger brother would be able to suppress his peers and obtain first place in the competition. Then, he could justifiably go to the first region to retrieve that treasure. Previously, Ho Tianlin hadn't held much hope. However, after seeing Tang Ao this time, Ho Tianlin felt that this time, the Qin Yun Alliance still had the ability to fight for first place. At this moment, Tang Ao naturally didn't know what Ho Tianlin was thinking. Otherwise, Tang Ao would definitely be shocked at how terrifying a person's calculations could be. Almost everything was within Ho Tianlin's calculations. At this time, Tang Ao was powerlessly lying on the ground to rest. Even though Tang Ao was in a very sorry state, none of the surrounding martial artists laughed at Tang Ao. Chapter 1296. You're quite lucky today. Here's a bottle of essence nurturing pellets for you. Cultivate properly in the future and avoid contact with Brother Ho Tianlin as much as possible. Chu Feng has been poisoned quite badly. I'm going to bring him back to the Qin Yun Alliance's encampment right now. After speaking with Tang Ao, Lin Dongnan gave instructions to the others. Then, he brought Chu Feng and flew towards the Qin Yun Alliance's encampment. Chu Feng was a child Lin Dongnan had adopted in the dragon subduing crypt. Chu Feng's abilities were all imparted to him by Lin Dongnan. Although the two of them weren't father and son, Lin Dongnan had always treated Chu Feng as if he were his own son. Although Tang Ao felt that Lin Dongnan's actions were a bit disloyal, Tang Ao didn't think too much about it. Everyone had their own difficulties. Since Lin Dongnan was willing to stand up for him, he would remember Lin Dongnan's favor. Lin Dongnan being unwilling to stand up for him was fine too. However, Lin Dongnan gave him a bottle of essence nurturing pellets in the end. It could be said that he was doing him quite a favor. What was most lacking in the dragon subduing crypt were cultivation resources. This was especially true for Tang Ao right now. He craved cultivation resources the most. After resting on the ground for a while, Tang Ao also sat up. Situ Qianqian also walked over when she saw Tang Ao stand up. Tang Ao had seen Situ Qianqian's actions when he was fighting against Ho Tianlin. Tang Ao felt that this young girl was quite decent. After a moment of consideration, Tang Ao took out a blank jade slip. Then, Tang Ao recorded the rank 1 spirit pellets concocted by the Shennong Emperor on this jade slip. Little sister Qianqian, this is for you. After Situ Qianqian came to Tang Ao's side, Tang Ao handed over the jade slip. Situ Qianqian was a little confused. After receiving the jade strip, she asked doubtfully, Senior brother Tang Ao, what is this? This is the heart of alchemy. Heavens, is this a jade strip that records alchemy techniques? Tang Ao had not yet finished his introduction when Situ Qianqian exclaimed. After saying that, Situ Qianqian carefully looked around. After confirming that there was no one around, Situ Qianqian felt relieved. Her big watery eyes were filled with anticipation as she looked at Tang Ao. Yes, this is an alchemy scroll for refining a Tier 1 spirit pill. Situ Qianqian was overjoyed when she heard Tang Ao admit it. Big brother Tang Ao, how many stars does this alchemy scroll belong to? Situ Qianqian had long wanted to learn alchemy, but the alchemists in the Qin Yun Alliance were all in the Qin Yun Alliance's encampment. Usually, Situ Qianqian did not have the opportunity to learn alchemy. Also, big brother Tang Ao, are you an alchemist? How many stars are you in alchemy? Tang Ao did not know whether to laugh or cry at Situ Qianqian's question. After being in the Flying Star continent for such a long time, Tang Ao had already figured out the classification of alchemists in the Flying Star continent. The Tier 1 Spirit Pill Masters in the Black-Yellow continent were divided into 9 stars. In other words, the strongest 9-star alchemist here would only be a slightly more powerful Tier 1 Spirit Pill Master in the Black-Yellow continent. As for Tang Ao, he was a peak Tier 6 Spirit Pill Master. If he were to be classified by stars, Tang Ao did not know what star rank he would be. While Tang Ao was thinking, Situ Qianqian exclaimed again, "Oh my God, Senior Brother Tang Ao, this jade slip actually records the refining method of the 9-star spirit pill, the origin martial pill. With this jade slip, I might be able to become a 9-star alchemist." After saying that, Situ Qianqian seemed to have thought of something and returned the jade slip to Tang Ao. "Senior Brother Tang Ao, this jade slip is too precious. I cannot take it." Chapter 1297. Tang Ao said it very casually, but Situ Qianqian was stunned by the news from Tang Ao's mouth. Situ Qianqian even suspected that she had heard wrong just now. "Senior Brother Tang Ao, you said you're a 9-star alchemist?" Situ Qianqian didn't think that Tang Ao was speaking again, but the news was too shocking, so Situ Qianqian couldn't accept it for a while. Whether it was in the Hidden Dragon Crypt or on the Faixing continent, alchemists were the target of countless people. Every alchemist had a terrifying network and financial resources, especially those who had been famous for a long time. Especially those alchemists who had been famous for a long time, as long as they made a sound, there would be countless martial artists willing to serve them. Therefore, alchemists were a symbol of wealth and status. However, Situ Qianqian didn't want to become an alchemist because of this. The reason why Situ Qianqian wanted to learn alchemy was entirely because she was interested in various medicinal herbs, and more importantly, she wanted to help the people in Qingyun village. It was just that although there was an alchemist in the Qingyun Union, that alchemist was only a 4-star alchemist, barely able to refine a middle-grade essence cultivating pill. Even so, this alchemist was closely guarded by the Qingyun Union. Usually, he would refine pills in the Qingyun Union and rarely walked outside. In this way, even if Situ Qianqian wanted to learn alchemy, there was no place for her to learn alchemy. Originally, Situ Qianqian almost gave up the idea of learning alchemy, but Situ Qianqian never expected that she would actually meet Tang Ao at this time. "Keep this jade slip well. After we repel the beast tide, I will teach you how to refine pills." However, Tang Ao said this with some difficulty. Now, Tang Ao did have a lot of spiritual herbs on him, but the grade of these spiritual herbs on Tang Ao was too high. As these spiritual herbs were all collected by Tang Ao in the Netherworld Emperor's mystic realm, the lowest grade of these spiritual herbs were level 5 spiritual herbs. It was impossible for Situ Qianqian to refine pills with such spiritual herbs. Of course, this was not because Tang Ao was reluctant to part with these spirit herbs, but because the higher the grade of the spirit herbs, the harder it was to refine and condense them into pills. Therefore, even if it was Tang Ao, before his cultivation level increased, he could not use high-grade spirit herbs to refine pills. "Senior Brother Tang Ao, what's wrong?" Situ Qianqian asked anxiously when she saw Tang Ao smile bitterly. Situ Qianqian really wanted to learn alchemy, but Situ Qianqian hadn't known Tang Ao for long, so Situ Qianqian was worried that Tang Ao wouldn't be willing to teach her. After all, alchemists were very rare on the Flying Star continent, and alchemists who could refine the vitality-enhancing pill were even more distinguished. "I don't have any spirit herbs on me right now. Can I get them in this place?" Tang Ao knew that there were many treasures in the Evergreen Valley, but he didn't know if there were any spiritual herbs in the Evergreen Valley. Or rather, he didn't know if there were any spiritual herbs in the 9th district of the Evergreen Valley. After all, only the 9th district was under the jurisdiction of the Qingyun League. As for the other places, Tang Ao most likely wouldn't be able to go. If it's about spirit herbs, there are many in Long Green Valley. Moreover, there are some medicinal fields in Qingyun village, and there are some very low-grade spirit herbs planted there. At first, Situ Qianqian thought that it was a big problem. If it was just spirit herbs, it would be easy to solve. Moreover, Situ Qianqian heard that there were several spirit herb gardens in the 9th district of Long Green Valley. However, The spirit herbs in the spirit herb gardens had to be exchanged with spiritual materials. Chapter 1298. In a place like the Flying Star Continent, the top martial artists were only at the origin realm. So as long as Tang Ao could recover his cultivation to the 9th level of the body refining realm, Tang Ao could do whatever he wanted here. But while the idea was beautiful, reality was cruel. Tang Ao had been here for so long, and he had only raised his cultivation to the 5th level of the body refining realm. As for the 9th level of the body refining realm, Tang Ao did not know when he would be able to reach it. But if Tang Ao found enough spirit medicine in Evergreen Valley, that would be a different story. As long as he found spirit medicine, Tang Ao could turn spirit grass into medicinal pills in minute. In the Hidden Dragon Caves, because of the illusion flowers, almost all the martial artists were desperately cultivating to raise their cultivation and dispel the illusion flower poison at the same time. This caused the spiritual qi in the Hidden Dragon Caves to be abnormally thin. Now in Qin Yun Village, Tang Ao was very dissatisfied with the spiritual qi here. But although the spiritual qi here was thin, for some reason, the illusion flowers that covered the Hidden Dragon Caves were very rare here. Tang Ao and Situ Qianqian walked in Qin Yun Village, looking around at this very simple village. If not for the fact that it was in the Hidden Dragon Caves, it would be a paradise. But because it was in the dangerous Hidden Dragon Caves, this simple village often had to face the test of survival. At this time, the beast tide had basically retreated. For Qin Yun Village, the beast tide was a disaster, but it was also a fortune. Because in the beast tide, countless people would die, and similarly, countless monsters would be killed. Most of the martial artists in Qin Village are very weak or physically disabled martial artists, and even some of them are ordinary people who have never cultivated. In the beginning, Tang Ao had felt puzzled. How were these people who could not cultivate dealing with the phantom flower poison? Later on, Tang Ao used his sky polarity eyes to observe several of them. Tang Ao discovered something interesting. As these people had never cultivated before, their bodies did not possess any energy at all. Thus, the phantom flower poison could not fuse with their bodies at all. This discovery made Tang Ao sigh for a long time. The illusion flower poison in the Hidden Dragon Crypt had given countless cultivators headaches, but it actually had no effect on ordinary people. Indeed, fate made a fool out of people. If it was any other place, it would be fine to be an ordinary person, but in the Hidden Dragon Crypt where danger lurked everywhere, all kinds of snakes, insects, rats, ants, birds, and beasts were a great threat to ordinary people. Although there were martial artists stationed in Qin Yun's village for a long time. However, this beast tide had caused many innocent villagers to lose their lives. Moreover, as the encampment of the Qin Yun Alliance and the Qin Yun Village were both near Evergreen Valley, they were often attacked by wild beasts. As for the beast tide, it happened from time to time. Roar! As Tang Ao and Situ Qianqian were talking, another terrifying beast roar came from afar. After hearing this shocking beast roar, Situ Qianqian's expression changed. Why is there still such a strong monster in the village at this time? At this time, the villagers who had just evacuated had returned. Originally, they thought that there were only a few weak monsters left in the village. They did not expect things to turn out like this. Let's go and take a look. Tang Ao also knew the seriousness of the situation. At this time, the martial artists that Lin Dongnan had brought had already returned, and Zhong Shan and the others who were originally stationed in Qin Yun Village had also suffered heavy casualties. Chapter 1299. Tang Ao and Situ Qianqian were extremely fast, and in a short while, they arrived at the place where the beast roar had come from. Before they even got close, Tang Ao heard a miserable cry from the crowd. Tang Ao swept out with his soul remembrance, and found a striped leopard at the center of the crowd. This striped leopard was at the 7th level of the body refinement realm. Logically speaking, such a powerful demonic beast should have been eradicated by Lin Dongnan and the others when they were cleaning up the battlefield. However, for some reason, this striped leopard still appeared here. Moreover, the striped leopard's aura was extremely powerful. There were no wounds on its body, and it was clearly at its peak condition. When Tang Ao's soul remembrance swept over, he just happened to see the striped leopard abruptly smash the head of a body refinement realm 5th level martial artist like a watermelon. The scene was abnormally terrifying. A bloody mist filled the air, and after the martial artist fell to the ground, white and red flowed over the ground. This terrifying scene caused the surrounding ordinary villagers to scream in fear. They really wanted to immediately run away. However, the extreme fright caused their legs to feel as heavy as lead, and they couldn't even lift their legs. They could only watch in despair as the striped leopard reaped their lives. Everyone retreat. At this moment, Zhongshan heard the news and rushed over. Zhongshan's originally broken left arm had already been treated. According to Sidu Qianqian, Zhongshan's left arm had been bitten off by a gray-furred monster. Moreover, that gray-furred monster had bitten off Zhongshan's left arm and swallowed it on the spot, so Zhongshan had no chance of reconnecting his left arm. After losing an arm, Zhongshan's fighting strength was greatly reduced. However, after hearing the commotion, Zhongshan immediately rushed over. Uncle Zhongshan, 6th brother, was killed by a striped leopard. Seeing Zhongshan come over, a martial artist immediately came up and said, including Sidu Qianqian, there were only 3 martial artists left to guard Qing Yun village. Brother Zhongshan, tell everyone to step back. We will slowly think of a way to deal with this leopard. At this time, Tang Ao also squeezed through the crowd and came in front of Zhongshan. Although Tang Ao wanted to coolly say that he could deal with this striped leopard, with Tang Ao's current condition, he knew that he would be courting death if he were to deal with this kind of demonic beast that was known for its speed and explosive power. All of us are injured to varying degrees. Right now we are no match for this beast. The best way is to lure it out, Zhongshan said after a moment of silence. As Tang Ao and the others appeared, the striped leopard sensed the aura of Tang Ao and the others and did not attack the surrounding villagers. Instead, it looked at Tang Ao and the others warily. Facing the ferocious eyes of the striped leopard, Sidu Qianqian felt a little guilty and unconsciously moved closer to Tang Ao. Sidu Qianqian was not a martial artist that excelled in combat. Because she had always been guarding Qing Yun village, she usually only dealt with some ordinary demonic beast. For a demonic beast like the striped leopard that was at the 7th level of the body refining realm, this was the first time Sidu Qianqian had faced it. Moreover, every time they fought with demonic beasts, the companions that were guarding Qing Yun village would work together to deal with the demonic beast. However, at this time there were only 3 people left from the original 10. Moreover, Uncle Zhongshan, who had always been protecting them, had also lost an arm in this battle. Right now, his condition was very bad. If Tang Ao wasn't here at this moment, Sidu Qianqian thought in her heart, maybe the Qing Yun village would become history under the claws of this leopard. Chapter 1300. Under Ho Tianlin's attack, Tang Ao being able to survive could already be said to be a miracle. Although Situ Qianqian didn't know the extent of Tang Ao's injuries, Situ Qianqian thought that right now, Tang Ao must be extremely exhausted. Otherwise, with Tang Ao's boldness in fighting the gray-furred monster alone, Tang Ao would not have attacked the striped leopard until now. In reality, Situ Qianqian's thoughts were correct. Right now, Tang Ao was indeed full of misgivings. Because of the previous battle with the Ho brothers, Tang Ao's vitality was greatly injured. The vitality in his body was completely used up. Even now, Tang Ao could barely move. At this time, Even if he faced a 5th-level origin martial realm monster, Tang Ao would not be able to handle it, let alone a 7th-level body refining realm striped leopard. Uncle Zhongshan, I'll go lure this striped leopard away. After Zhongshan said his idea, the sturdy youth beside Tang Ao immediately said. Tang Ao remembered that this martial artist was called Lin Hu. His cultivation was at the early stage of the 5th level of the body refining realm. To be able to cultivate to this level at his age, if it wasn't because he was lacking in cultivation resources, then his martial talent was too poor. After seeing him take the initiative to volunteer, Tang Ao secretly nodded his head. In reality, after the beast tied, Lin Hu's injuries were also not light. It was just that compared to Tang Ao and Zhongshan, Lin Hu's injuries were slightly better. Although Situ Qianshan's condition was better than Lin Hu's, Situ Qianshan was too afraid when facing the striped leopard. This way, it would be too dangerous for Situ Qianshan to face the striped leopard alone. Therefore, Lin Hu did not hesitate and directly said it. But after Lin Hu said it, Zhongshan did not agree. This made Lin Hu a bit puzzled. He did not know why Zhongshan did not agree to lure the striped leopard away. Lin Hu did not know the reason, but Tang Ao knew. Among the few people here, other than Zhongshan, who was at the 7th level of the body refining realm, Tang Ao and the other two were only at the 5th level of the body refining realm. For a martial artist at the 5th level of the body refining realm to attract the attention of a demonic beast at the 7th level of the body refining realm was like throwing a meat bun at a dog. In other words, even if Lin Hu could lure the striped leopard away, he would most likely die in its mouth. That was why Zhongshan did not agree. After all, Lin Hu was still young and had a long road ahead of him. Although this kind of sacrifice was very heroic, if Lin Hu was alive, he would be able to bring more help to Qin Yun village. Sure enough, at this moment Zhongshan said, "Let me go. You and Qianshan have to train harder in the future." Although the world of martial arts was cruel, it was equally exciting. However, only the strong can enjoy this excitement, the weak can only be helpless ants. After Zhongshan said this, Situ Qianshan and Lin Hu understood what Zhongshan meant. Immediately, the two of them tried to dissuade him. "Uncle Zhongshan, among the few of us, my injuries are the lightest. If I go, I have a high chance of escaping. I can't be a little girl hiding behind you for the rest of my life. Let me go this time." Situ Qianshan's eyes flashed with determination. In this kind of life and death crisis, Situ Qianshan's heart of universal love allowed her to overcome the fear in her heart. Although Situ Qianshan was still afraid of the striped leopard, at this moment, Situ Qianshan was not like before. She did not have the courage to face the striped leopard. "Junior sister Qianshan, your speed is not as fast as mine. Let me go this time." Hearing Situ Qianshan say this, Lin Hu immediately became anxious. It was just that Lin Hu did not know how to speak, so he could only say this. Chapter 1301. If Tang Ao had not consumed so much energy, then Tang Ao would have definitely taken the initiative to lure the striped leopard away. This was because Tang Ao knew that no matter how fast the striped leopard was, it could not be faster than the wind, thunder, dark cloud. In Tang Ao's knowledge, up until now, Tang Ao had not thought of anything that could match the speed of the wind, thunder, dark cloud. Although Tang Ao's cultivation was greatly damaged, when Tang Ao circulated the wind, thunder, dark cloud with all his strength, it was not something that a mere striped leopard could catch up to. But now, Tang Ao could only think about it. Feeling the empty essence in his body, Tang Ao knew that if he went to lure the striped leopard now, he would also be sending himself to his death. "Senior apprentice brother Tang Ao, do you have any good ideas?" After hearing Tang Ao's words, Situ Qianshan immediately asked. "It can't be considered a good idea." Tang Ao pondered for a moment before saying, "With the 4 of our current strength, It is absolutely impossible to deal with this striped leopard. Once the 4 of us die in battle, Qing Yun village will immediately be razed to the ground by this striped leopard. Right now, the best method is for all the people in Qing Yun village who can fight to join forces with us to kill this striped leopard. When the nest is overturned, how can there be intact eggs? Tang Ao's voice was not very loud, but after it was wrapped in essence qi, everyone in the surroundings could hear it clearly. Although a few people had a trace of disdain in their eyes, there were even more people who revealed a pondering expression. Not long after, a one-legged martial artist with a walking stick took a step forward. This old man has lived to this age and has lived long enough. Today, if I can help you kids kill this striped leopard, it can also be considered as making a contribution. 7th Great Uncle. This one-legged old man's prestige in the crowd was not low. After seeing him step forward, the surrounding people immediately exclaimed, 7th Martial Uncle. Lin, who was also stunned. This old man was Lin, whose master's junior apprentice brother. When Lin, whose master was still alive, Lin, who often saw the 2 of them playing chess in the forest. Count me in. After the one-legged old man spoke, a blind martial artist also spoke up. There was a ferocious and terrifying scar on this person's eyes. It was obvious that he had been blinded by a sword. Tang Ao noticed that the wound was so deep that it almost cut off half of his head. At the same time, Tang Ao sighed inwardly. This person's life was tough. This kind of injury could be considered fatal. However, this warrior had only lost his eyes and was still alive and well. Moreover, from his energetic voice, Tang Ao could tell that this warrior's strength was not weak. It was just that without his eyes, he might not be able to unleash his full power. After all, not every martial artist was like Tang Ao, possessing a powerful soul see and exquisite soul remembrance. How could I, second mother, miss such a lively event? This time, the one who spoke was a middle-aged woman sitting in a wheelchair. Although she was sitting in a wheelchair, Tang Ao did not see any signs of weakness from her body. Instead, she had a threatening heroic spirit. Just based on this point, Tang Ao could tell that before this woman was injured, she was definitely a free and unrestrained heroine. Second mother, is your body all right? After hearing this voice, the martial artist who was blind just now asked. Heh, even a blind person like you dares to come out and meddle. Why can't I come? After hearing someone say that her body was not good, second mother was instantly unhappy. Seeing this scene, Tang Ao couldn't help but smile. Compared to the cold Qing Yun alliance, the people in Qing Yun village were clearly much cuter. Although these people were still talking and laughing, in a moment when the battle began, some of them might not be seen again. Chapter 1302. Now that the survival of Qing Yun village was at stake, these warriors would naturally not stand idly by. Although some of the warriors remained indifferent on the periphery, their chances of defeating the striped leopard were much higher now that they had joined the fray. After the crowd released their auras, the striped leopard started to feel uneasy. Although the striped leopard was powerful, it still showed a hint of hesitation in its eyes when faced with such a large number of warriors. In the past, it had relied on its powerful aura to intimidate its prey to the point where they couldn't move. However, this time, the prey in front of it didn't seem to be intimidated. The striped leopard's intelligence wasn't very high, but it could still think about some things. As it thought about this, the striped leopard licked its sharp claws. If it hadn't been to feed its cub, the striped leopard would have retreated in this situation. Now, however, the striped leopard was very hesitant. Originally, the striped leopard had only wanted to sneak into Qing Yun village to catch some livestock to fill its stomach. However, the beast tide had erupted, and the warriors in Qing Yun village were very vigilant. Therefore, it was quickly discovered when it entered Qing Yun village. After being discovered, the striped leopard immediately wanted to escape. However, the warrior it feared just now kept pestering it, so it couldn't escape even if it wanted to. Now that it had consumed so much energy, it wouldn't be able to feed its cub. While the striped leopard was still hesitating, the seventh great uncle suddenly slammed the bamboo stick in his hand on the ground. Then, he stretched his body and instantly rose from the ground, smashing towards the striped leopard's head. Tang Ao was speechless when he saw the speed. Judging from the attack alone, the seventh great uncle didn't look like a warrior who had lost a leg. The moment the seventh great uncle made his move, Tang Ao and the others also made their move. Although there was strength in numbers, the warriors here were either injured or disabled. Although the momentum of their attacks wasn't small, they didn't cause much damage to the striped leopard. The seventh great uncle's speed was the fastest, so he was the first to smash the striped leopard's head with his stick. However, the striped leopard didn't suffer much damage after being hit by the stick. His body only paused for a moment before he suddenly jumped up and clawed at seventh great uncle fiercely. "Seventh uncle, be careful!" After Zhong Shan warned, the long stick in his hand stabbed toward the belly of the striped leopard. However, Zhong Shan's speed was not as fast as seventh great uncle's. The moment his iron rod was sent out, it was caught by the leopard's claw. Then, the striped leopard exerted its strength and sent Zhong Shan flying. Fortunately, the blind martial artist was behind Zhong Shan and helped him remove the terrifying force from his body. At the same time, the others' attacks rained down on the striped leopard's body. However, it was all bark and no bite. After receiving so many attacks, the striped leopard was completely unscathed. This kind of attack also stimulated the ferocity of the striped leopard. The striped leopard was an incomparably ferocious demonic beast. At first, it was stunned by the seventh great uncle's sudden attack. After recovering, the striped leopard immediately revealed its ferocious side. Its sharp claws were like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. Tang Ao only saw a flash of silver light and a warrior's head was sent flying by the striped leopard's claw. This beast is ferocious. Everyone, put in more effort. Seventh great uncle shouted anxiously when he saw this scene. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.